All right, we are live. Welcome. This is Orion Rising. I am your host, Leonard O'Neill. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morrow, depending on where in the world you are tuning into the show. Shut this out, shut this out, shut this out. All right, it's Friday night, and it is time for the Hermeticum, the Corpus Hermeticum, Part 4. I apologize. Last week was the 4th of July, July 4th, in the United States of America. So because of that, everybody, it's a national holiday. Nobody's working, because it is, in fact, Independence Day for the United States. So I took the day off. So if you guys are here, say hello in the chat. I don't see any comments in the chat. So I don't know if it's not feeding into here. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Hopefully you guys are saying something in the chat. Say hello, shout out, and share this out, share this out, share this out. And then we'll see. Yes, Brooke is there. Thank you, baby. Good morning from Australia, right? So now I know the chat's filtering in here. So let me turn this off, let me turn this banner off here and put myself into full screen so you guys can see me there. All right, so we took last week off, but we're going to go ahead and pick up part 4. So we are 1 hour and 30 minutes into the Corpus Hermeticum. So I don't think there's anything crazy going on in the world that we need to talk about, and because there's always something crazy going on in the world that we need to talk about. So I won't get involved in that. So we'll get right back into the Corpus Hermeticum, and we'll go ahead and do a sound check. Let me come over here and take a look at, let me put this up in a full screen here, and we'll go ahead and get started with that. So I'll do a sound check. I backed it up like, I don't know how many seconds or so. It looks like I backed it up to, where are we at there? Minute 29:41, so about 20 seconds back from where I was. So we'll start it there and then pick up right at that mark. Let me go into full screen there. We'll do a sound check. You guys let me know if you can hear things all right. Let me put this up into full screen, and that should be okay. Let me double check that in the studio. We're good. And for whatever reason, this week, again, it didn't go live on Instagram. I'm not quite sure why, because I copied and pasted stuff. So looks like, I don't know if we are live on Instagram or not. Don't think we are, but we're live on YouTube and Facebook on the MP4 broadcast, and we are live around the world on the MP3 broadcast. For those of you in the 70 countries that listen to us out there, we know that you're there. We're tracking that. We see you. We love you guys. You guys just can't make comments. I'm thinking about reopening my studio in Spreaker and start broadcasting on their live, because then we'll be able to be live on the MP4 and MP3 broadcast. So you guys will actually be able to get into a chat. So I'm going to look into that. I just haven't done it yet. Haven't had time. Once I get my transition taken care of in the next month or so, I will more than likely start setting that up to be doing exactly that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a sound check here. You guys let me know if you can hear everything okay. And like I said, share this out, share this out, share this out. All right, so let's go ahead and do sound check. You guys tell me if you can hear it.
For everything must be the product of opposition and contrariety, and it cannot be otherwise. Who is this material God, then? The cosmos, which is beautiful, but not good. For it is material and easily affected, and of all those things that feel affect, it is foremost. But among the things that are, it is secondary and incomplete in itself. Once it has come to be, it exists forever.
And I forgot to turn the closed captions back on, so I got the closed captions on for those of you who see that. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you for that. Like I said, if you don't say hello in the chat, then I don't know you're here. Otherwise, tune in. So we are on, I think it's chapter 4 or 5. I don't know exactly where we are here. We're on it's actually chapter 10 that we're on in the Corpus Hermeticum. So let's go ahead and continue, okay?
But it exists in becoming and comes to be forever as the becoming of qualities and quantities. For it is subject to movement, and every motion of matter is becoming. The immobility of mind initiates the motion of matter in this way, since the cosmos is a sphere, a head, that is. And since there is nothing material above the head, just as there is nothing of mind below the feet, where all is matter. And since mind is a head which is moved spherically, in the manner of a head, that is, things joined to the membrane of this head, in which is the soul, are by nature immortal.
So here, you guys have to realize, let me go over here and put myself into full screen because we're stopping here real quick. You guys have to realize that right here, he's talking about the cosmos, and he's comparing the cosmos to the human body, the human condition. So you have to realize that at this point, he's saying literally that that the ether, the cosmos, is the head of the universe. So we're looking at Hermes thousands of years ago, realizing that the space in the air, the what they call the cosmos or the ether, was, in his concept of what he just said, was the mind of the creator, in the head of the creator, and that it acts like that. So this is the concept that Hermes is talking about right now, akin to being in the mind of our brain, being in our brain, and the functions of the brain. Why is this important? If you watch the beginning credits to my show, the music that plays, if you're watching the MP4 broadcast, you see the images that I have playing there. And one of the images that I have playing there is, in the modern 21st century, science has used a radio image of the cosmos, the universe, and a radio image of one brain cell from a human being. And those are side by side on the image, and they're identical. The difference is the universe is more complex by about 1,000-fold, but it has the exact same center core of light and offshoots of ganglia, glia cells, and pathways, neural pathways, where our electronic brain shoots electricity that makes our motor function happen, to where it runs our endocrine system, and me speaking to you, moving my hand, inhaling, blinking, heart beating, blood pressure, everything in your body is run on that neural network. That is called the tree of life by all religions and all spiritual practices on this planet alone. Okay? The tree of life. The tree of life in our body is the endocrine system. The tree of life in the cosmos is the cosmos. In the universe is the cosmos. Is that all the stars and a neural pathway which links all those stars that we currently know in our physics exists. Penny, welcome. Denise, welcome. Brooke, I love you for tagging everybody. Thank you. Thank you, baby. That's my wife there that is helping to get everybody in here. So literally, you see Hermes thousands of years ago having this conversation and talking about the neural network of the cosmos being the head of the creator, the head of the universe, and that we are the body of the universe. Okay, so let me go back over here, put this back up in full screen. I'm going to back this up just slightly so you can hear him say that one more time. Okay, so let me pull this back a few seconds here, and we'll play that one more time. I went back further. Now there's a commercial, so I'll have to wait until we get here and they'll skip it. Okay.
Possess the beginning of immortality.
So as we get back up to the 1 minute and 30-second mark, you're going to hear him talk about that. So this is what we're talking about here, and he'll move right into that and talking about the body again, okay, and the mind.
And so then they enter the troop of gods, which is really two troops, one wandering, the other fixed. And this is the soul's most perfect glory. But if a soul that has entered into humans remains vicious, it neither tastes immortality nor shares in the good, but turns back and rushes down the road toward the snakes.
Now, remember, this was where they were showing the difference between those who are in service to self, talking about there, turning back from good, rushing down the road towards the snakes, or people in service to others. And then we're going to go right into that from here.
And this is the sentence pronounced against a vicious soul. The vice of soul is ignorance. For the soul, when it is blind and discerns none of the things that are, nor their nature, nor the good, is shaken by the bodily passions, and the wretched thing becomes, in ignorance of itself, a slave to vile and monstrous bodies, bearing the body like a burden, not ruling, but being ruled. This is the vice of soul. The virtue of soul, by contrast, is knowledge, for one who knows is good and reverent, and already divine. Who is this person, Father? One who says little and hears little. He fights with shadows, my son, who wastes time on talking and listening to talk. One neither speaks nor hears of God the Father and the good. This being so, that there are senses in all things that are, because they cannot exist without them. Yet knowledge differs greatly from sensation, for sensation comes when the object prevails, while knowledge is the goal of learning, and learning is a gift from God. For all learning is incorporeal, using as instrument the mind itself, as mind uses body. Both enter into body then, the mental and the material. For everything must be the product of opposition and contrariety, and it cannot be otherwise.
See, now that we're talking about the duality, the yin and the yang, the duality of the masculine, feminine, the duality of the in service to self and the in service to others, right? In the human condition.
Who is this material God then? The cosmos, which is beautiful.
See? So then, otherwise, who is this material God then? The cosmos, which is beautiful, but. So the physical place that is the universe, the physical place that is the third dimension, is the material God, is the body of the material God, not the spiritual God, but the material. So here now we're saying that the universe is the physical plane. The third dimension is the physical plane, the physical structure of the body of the physical God, which would be self-serving. And then the spiritual God, which is energy and light, is not part of the spiritual, not part of the physical, just like your physical and the physicality here in this place, but your soul, your immortal spirit, resides in another place, which is not a dimension. It resides in a density. That is the place where the creator resides, and that the universe is the physical, like our physical body is in the physical.
But not good, for it is material and easily affected, and of all those things that feel affect, it is foremost. But among the things that are, it is secondary and incomplete in itself. Once it has come to be, it exists forever, but it exists in becoming and comes to be forever as the becoming of qualities and quantities. For it is subject to movement, and every motion of matter is becoming. The immobility of mind initiates the motion of matter in this way, since the cosmos is a sphere, a head that is, and since there is nothing material above the head, just as there is nothing of mind below the feet.
See? So here again, that is a reference to the physical universe being physicality. Physicality being like this place in third dimension is physicality. Physicality is the opposition to non-physicality. Corporal is the opposition to non-corporal. Okay? So our energy, where our soul resides, where our spirit resides, is in a different place, which is a density, which is spiritual, which is non-corporeal. Okay? So all that is this place in nature, the entire universe, exists in a physical. So when people say the earth is ruled by the devil, they're not wrong, because the physical place is the beast, the number of the beast. The physical place is the beast, which is the negative. It is the spiritual place that you're trying to attain if you're in service to others. If you're in service to self, you're only trying to attain this physical place. So the non-physical place is the place that you're trying to attain, which is the density, which is the energetic place. So you have to realize that. Okay, let's continue here.
Where all is matter. And since mind is a head which is moved spherically, in the manner of a head, that is, things joined to the membrane of this head, in which is the soul, are by nature immortal, as if they have more soul than body, because body has been made in soul. Things far away from the membrane, however, are mortal, because they have more body than soul. Thus, every living being, and likewise the universe, has been constituted of the material and the mental. And the cosmos is first, But after the cosmos, the second living thing is the human, who is first of mortal beings, and like other living things, has ensoulment. Moreover, the human...
See, having ensoulment. So this is where the difference between the physicality is where the soul resides. The non-physical is where your spirit resides. These days, people don't always make that distinction between soul being physical and spirit being non-physical, but that is the way it's always been taught. So your soul, ensoulment, right, and like other living things, has ensoulment, meaning you do have a soul in the physical body. This is an avatar, and you think that you are in the body, and you think you are the body until you learn that you're not, and then you learn that you actually reside outside of the body, not inside the body. Let's continue.
Man is not only not good, but because he is mortal, he is evil as well. For the
Hi, Peter. I forgot to say hello to you. Welcome, brother.
Cosmos is not good because it moves, yet because it is immortal, it is not evil. But the human, because he moves and is mortal, is evil. A human soul is carried in this way. The mind is in the reason is in the soul is in the spirit passing through veins and arteries and blood, moves the living thing, and, in a manner of speaking, bears it up.
See, so you have to realize there's the distinction now between soul and spirit. The spirit is that which moves things. If you remember Lao Tzu, when Lao Tzu said, "He who gropes for it will not grasp it," right? What he was saying there, he followed up with that immortal forever thing that is the creator of the universe, the energy of the universe and potentiation of the universe. This is me now elaborating, it's not verbatim, I'm not paraphrasing either. It is that which makes the cosmos move. That's which makes everything animate and makes everything move. So that is what is constant. What is constant is the creator of the universe. What is also constant is our spirit. We are also immortal, and we are constant in outside of time. So here you see thousands of years ago, Hermes understood this, that the physical place, the physical plane is the evil plane, and that you're to overcome this. So if you take Jesus, for instance, Jesus gets crucified and is said to descend into hell and then ascend from hell back to heaven. That journey is what we're all going on when we are in the physical place. That is the fall, and we are in hell, this place, until we make it no longer hell. It is our prison until we make it no longer our prison. It is only a house until we make it a home. And then we move into a home, which changes the dynamic of the entire place that we're in. It is no longer chaos. It is no longer evil. It has now been transmuted to a higher plane, which is now home. This is where you see in the Bible where God says, "And I will create the new heavens and the new earth." Why is that? Because we are creating the new heavens and the new earth. Why is that? Because we, as a collective consciousness, are moving away from the darkness and moving back towards the light. And you hear that being said in all of the scriptures all around the world until they were removed from the different Bibles. All right, let's continue here. Wait, let me put this up in full screen, and we will continue here.
Some hold, therefore, that the soul is blood, mistaking its nature, and not seeing that the spirit must first be withdrawn into the soul, and then, when the blood thickens and the veins and arteries are emptied, this destroys the living thing, and this is the death of the body. All things depend from one beginning, but the beginning depends from the one and only, and the beginning moves so that it can again become a beginning.
Okay, so there's the cyclical nature. So literally, Chandra, welcome. So literally you have the cyclical nature now, the cycle of life. Only through death can there be resurrection. Only through death can there be life. So life comes out of darkness. Light comes out of darkness because it illuminates darkness, and darkness goes away. So when you live the physical body, when the physical body dies, it's because the spirit is now able to move up. And therefore, the body cannot exist without the spirit being attached to it, without it being ensouled. So when it's time for the spirit to leave the soul dies, the body dies, and the spirit is forever. And then you move up, and then you come back and you are ensouled again, and you become another person, a new person, and then you're born again in the physical. You do that until you've learned what it is that you need to learn to then graduate from the physical. Hermes knew this thousands of years ago. This is the point of my book, and talking about there is this knowledge that everybody already knew about, and that that knowledge was eradicated from right in front of your eyes, even though it's still there. And you're misdirected by this place, by the matrix, by the the search engines, and everything else that is going on, but getting your attention on TikTok and Twitter and all of those apps, the news, the movies, the media, music, all of that stuff is designed, sports, all of that is designed to keep your attention away from your journey and away from your spirituality altogether, because they want you in the physical plane, living only in the physical plane, worried about power, money, fame, glory, rent, food, prices of everything, having to insure your car, insure yourself, buying food, paying rent, paying for all your apps, paying for television. You got to have that money, so you have to go to work for them, and you're trading your time for money to work for them, and then you're giving the money right back to them because they're the ones that own everything. So they get you working for free, basically, because they're giving you money and making you think you have money and freedom. Then you turn around and you give that money right back to them by buying the products that they're selling to you, that they're now telling you it costs the money that they're giving you for your time. So it's a cyclical nature, and your debt is your slave chain. And all of that is designed to keep you so busy that you never once ponder spirituality, and you don't go looking for it. And if you don't believe me, look into that and find out if I'm lying. And if I am, I'll put you on my show and we'll talk about it. Right? If you can prove that I made that up and I'm lying and that's not what's happening. Go down that rabbit hole, you're going to figure that out.
Only the One, however, stands still and does not move. There are these three, then: God the Father and the good, the cosmos, and the human. And God holds the cosmos, but the cosmos holds the human. And the cosmos becomes the son of God, but the human becomes the son of the cosmos.
Right? So you have to see that. Welcome, brother. There's my brother in real life, Jeff. Welcome, brother. So literally you have, and then if you see that, you have the Father, the cosmos, and the human. Again, if we look at that in the Christianity terms, what we have then is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the cosmos being the Son being the Christ. So here you have Hermes thousands of years ago talking about the Trinity before there was a Trinity, because Jesus hadn't appeared onto the planet yet for there to be that Trinity of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yet here's Hermes talking about the Father, the cosmos, and the body. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the body, the totality. So in the non-physical, in the corporeal, we have the Father, the Son, and then in the physical, we had the same. So the body being the body of Christ, the body being the physicality of the Son. Okay, so now you have the Creator, the soul, right? Or the spirit, then the soul. Do you see? So the soul being ensouled, being the flesh, the human body is the soul. The spirit is your immortal soul. That is what runs this body. That is what makes you think. That is who you are, not attached to the body, but seeing through it. As seeing this through this avatar. Third dimension, where the body is. Third density, where the spirit is. The soul is the animated body. So here you see Hermes talking about that. The Creator, the cosmos, and the body. The Father, the Son, the Holy Trinity. The Father, the spirit, or the cosmos, and the physical, the body. Okay, so let me put this back in full screen. Let's continue here.
A grandson, as it were. For God does not ignore mankind. On the contrary, he recognizes him fully and wishes to be recognized. For mankind, this is the only deliverance, the knowledge of God. It is ascent to Olympus. A soul becomes good only in this way, though it is not good forever, but becomes evil. by necessity it becomes so. What do you mean, O Trismegistus? Envision the soul of a child, my son, which has not yet accepted its separation from itself. Its body has not yet attained its full bulk, of which it has only a little as yet. How beautiful it is to look at, from every point of view, not yet sullied by the passions of the body, still depending closely from the soul of the cosmos. But when the body gets its bulk and drags the soul down to the body's grossness, the soul, having separated from itself, gives birth to forgetting, and it no longer shares in the beautiful and the good. The forgetting becomes vice.
Okay, so that's the fall. That is the living in the flesh. Okay, so that is the fall of the human existence. When you get locked into this matrix, you have the forgetting. That's the veiling. So you no longer remember your soul, your spirit. You no longer remember that you're a part of God, the Creator. You don't know these things at all. So when you're born in the flesh of the flesh, then you are living in the flesh. And then the Christian reference of being born again is that moment when you then wake up and realize, I am not the thinking body. I am not the physical pain body. I am not the soul. I am the everlasting spirit that is a part of God, that is a part of the Creator, and that is becoming born again because you're realizing your place is not of this body. Your place is of the body of Christ, of the body of God, not just Jesus in that pantheon, but all of those characters that were the same Savior character in all the religions. You're of the cosmos. That is the body that is this place that is above the physicality, and then the Creator. Okay, so that in the law of one sense would be the logos, the creation of the Creator, the sub-logos, and then the sub-sub-logos, we being the sub-sub-logos, the third part of that Trinity, the physicality down here. And here you see him talking about the fall. That is the fall, when we descend into the physical body, and then we have the forgetting. We don't know that we come from a higher place. Our job is to wake up, learn these things, and wake up to the realization that I come from the body. I come from the Creator. I am not this physical body. I am part of that non-physical, corporeal, everlasting body. And Hermes knew that thousands of years ago. Let me go back over here and we'll continue, okay?
The same thing also happens to those who leave the body. When the soul rises up to itself, the spirit is drawn into the blood, the soul into the spirit, but the mind...
Okay, hold on. Denise said, I'm confused between the soul and the spirit. No, it's okay. Everyone is, because people think that the soul is the spirit. The soul is your physical. Let me go back into the full screen here so you can see me. The soul is this physical corporeal body. You're ensouled, meaning you're in this physical corporeal body. Okay, this is an avatar, and you believe when you're veiled, you believe because you're seeing through these two eyes, you believe that this body, this flesh is yours, that is who you are, and that you reside inside this brain, inside my skull, in this pink or gray fabric that is in there, that is our brain. That is being ensouled. You are ensouled in this body, but you are not the body. You are ensouled. So it's like you're in a drone and you don't remember that you're in a drone. So it is only when you start to realize, I am immortal. I am not this pain body. I do not live in this physical flesh. I am here now because this is a school that was created by the Creator for us to learn to become self-aware, and then start to learn and reach up to the cosmos, reach up to the non-physical body, reach up to the Creator. And that's why you see that fresco in the Sistine Chapel where God is up in the clouds and God's hand is reaching down halfway and the human is reaching up, and they're about to touch fingers, but they're not all the way there yet, because you have to be 51% in service to others to get that touch where you touch the Creator. 50% is you reaching up, but you have to reach up to the God of the universe. The God of the universe is reaching down, waiting for you to make that journey to go up to the creator. So Jesus said in Christianity that the only way to heaven is through me, meaning him being the Son, the cosmos, being the body that is Christ, the body of Christ. That is the Christ within that we need to find and seek, right? I'm not trying to just push Christianity for those of you around the world. I'm using that vernacular because the majority of the people on the earth consider themselves Christian, and they would understand that vernacular. But you can see that in everything. Marduk had to do the same sacrifice. If you look at the Bohemian religion and the Vikings, Thor was sacrificed, came down to earth, had no immortality, was human, and was not worthy to pick up Mjolnir, his hammer, until he sacrificed himself for these people. The same way that Jesus in the Hebrew and the Christian religion sacrificed himself for the sins of the people. And then once he died, he was resurrected. Thor dies and then stands up, now resurrected, back immortal again, can pick up his hammer and then defeats the evil and then takes humans with him, and they go across Bifrost the Rainbow Bridge being aligning the chakras, and goes to Valhalla, the place of illumination, the light of the world in the hippocampus in your brain, illuminating yourself and achieving, learning how to achieve immortality by moving away from the physical plane into the non-physical. So the non-physical spirit is your everlasting spirit that is in the density. Your soul is what the energy is that's running this corporeal body. That is being ensouled, and it's like being entombed. When you're entombed in something, that is where your body sets for the rest of eternity. You're ensouled in this flesh. You're not of this flesh, but you're ensouled in it because you control this, because you're here basically imprisoned until you figure out how to get out of this soul, out of this physical body, and realize that you are corporeal, you are energy, you are everlasting, you are not this place. None of this place is real, and none of it's happening to you. It's all happening for you. Okay. So what goes to heaven, the spirit or the soul? The spirit goes to heaven because the soul is only physical in the third dimension. So that's why we say in maritime, they say SOS, save our soul. That means save our physical body, save us. We are stranded, we are sinking or we're stranded on an island. Save our soul, please help us. Our soul is our physical body, and it's been known to be our physical body forever. It's only been in the modern day that they try to confuse you to believe that your soul is the immortal thing, because they want you to believe that you're here in this place. So they're trying to take the spirit out. That's why they changed the vernacular of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, because people were saying Holy Ghost before, because it had been changed, and now you're seeing them change that back so that they're saying the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, not the Holy Ghost. And they're also not saying the Holy Soul. They used to say ghost because the word ghost originally meant spirit, but then in modern times, ghost means disembodied spirit that is floating around lost. So because that means that it's some human that's lost, they don't want to use the word ghost anymore. So they start saying spirit instead. It's an immortal energy being that is a light being that is not the physical. So when you leave, you are the physical, non-physical energy light body. That is your spirit. That goes to heaven. Your soul stays here in this body because it is the body. The soul is the body. There's not a part of your personality that stays here. Only the body that you used to be stays here. That's the soul. The physicality is the soul. Okay. So the soul and the body are the same. The Chandra said it sounds like the soul and the body are the same. They are. The difference is with the body non-animated is just a body. Animated by your spirit, it becomes the soul, because it's now animated with your personality because you are ensouled in the body. So you are then occupying the body. When you stop occupying the body, the soul is no longer there because it just becomes the physical body and the body dies. And that's what Hermes is saying. When you have that transition to fully your attention in the non-physical, in the corporeal or the non-corporeal, in the spirit, in that reality, the density of I am not this physical plane, I am immortal, then the body dies, and that's what stays forever. So that goes to heaven. That recycles and becomes someone new in resurrection. And then in the physical way, the born again is when you realize, I am not the pain body. I am not this place. I am not the ego. I am something that is immortal, that is a part of the creation, because the creator created me, and I am a part of the creator and a part of God. And I am trying to ascend back to that. That is being born again. So when the Christians talk about being born again, it's that illumination, that realization that there is a God, and that I am part of that God, and I was created by that God, and I am supposed to be ascending back to that God. If you are in service to self, you don't want to have any part of that, because you love it here. You like this place. This is your compound. This is your wheelhouse. This is what you want for power, money, fame, control, this physicality. So you're living in the lower three chakras, and you're in service to self. If you're in service to others, you want to move to a place of spirituality, even while residing ensouled in the body, until such time that you've learned all of the things necessary to then leave this body and move to heaven, say. Okay. So it's literally what Chandra said and mine is personality. You are the ultimate personality, but the mind is governed by, yes, those chakras, those archetypes that create the personality that you are down here, individual, me being Leonard, individual, okay? Down here, this corporeal body is named Leonard. The personality that I become here when I am veiled is all of those archetypes that balance me into this personality and the traits that I have here. When you then, this is where he was just explaining that illumination is from the creator. True enlightenment comes from the universe, because only people that are in service to others seek enlightenment and seek something other than here to move towards. People who are living in the flesh don't care about that. Their wisdom is money, power, fame, and glory, control, right? And everlasting control. Everything that is physical, the opposite of non-corporeal. So then you see Hermes talking about that and showing how that changes when you pull what essence of you is in this physical form, and then the body dies, and now you're in the non-physical, in the spiritual realm of the density, and that's forever. That never ceases to exist. That only ceases to exist when you merge back with the creator, which is an infinite amount of years in the future for each one of us. And it's so far away that we can't calculate the time here, because we're in time. So when you're outside of time, it could be tomorrow, but when you're inside of time, it's trillion years before you're going to get back there, 100 million years before you're going to get back there. But it doesn't take that long, because when you get outside of time, everything happens in the now. But that you don't want to, we don't want to go down that road right now unless Hermes decides to go down that road. All right, let me go back over here and we will continue. But feel free to please ask questions in the chat.
Since it is divine by nature, becomes purified of its garments, and takes on a fiery body, ranging about everywhere, leaving the soul to judgment and the justice it deserves. What do you mean, Father? How is mind parted from soul, and soul from spirit?
See, so now we're getting into, Denise, the description of your dichotomy and wondering what is the difference between the soul and the spirit. Mind, soul, spirit. He's asking the same question. So let's continue, right?
When you say that soul is the garment of the mind and spirit the garment of the soul, the hearer must be of one mind with the speaker, my son, and of one spirit as well. He must have hearing quicker than the speech of the speaker. In an earthy body occurs the combining of these garments, my son, for the mind cannot seat itself alone and naked in an earthy body.
Okay, so now if you guys working with me, you will hear me say, and I think Eckhart Tolle said this and many other people as well, when people say, how do I know that I'm ascending? What are some of the signs? And I say, when you're capable of, first of all, understanding that I am not the pain body, I am not the thinking mind. That means you're not the soul. I am the spirit. And here you see God telling Hermes that when you hear faster than the thought, And I tell people, when you're starting to ascend, you start to realize that your thought process happens. And I tell you, a lot of you who've worked with me, you've heard me say this to you. When you start being able to become awake and you're ascending and you're starting to wake up, you will then start to notice that the entire thought process before your brain thinks the words for them to come out of your mouth happens just prior in an instance, and that information comes in as a concept, and then your brain takes that concept and puts it to words, and then your mouth says those words. When you're able to perceive that being, that is the starter, the fabric of the beginning of the thought, the entire concept that goes to the brain, and then the brain thinks the words and then you say them out loud. When you graduate in your own essence-ness, your own beingness, to be able to detect that, that is you detecting you as the higher self orchestrating all of this down here. That entire concept is coming from you, that consciousness in that place outside of the pain body, the non-corporeal spirit, telling the brain translates that concept into thought. Those thoughts then are translated into your mouth speaking them to someone else. So it is when you are adept enough, and what's what I'm looking for, when you're meditating enough to where you believe, I am not the pain body, I am something that is immortal, and you start waking them up enough to become unveiled enough, you will then notice that happening very fast. For that millisecond before your brain starts thinking, the entire concept is already there. That's you, the soul, the spirit, not the soul, the spirit that is immortal, thinking into the ensoulment into the mind, and then the mind is then turning on and making it happen in the physical for you to be able to say it and do it and think it and move about. Okay. So that's literally what that is. And then you see Hermes talking about that. So here's thousands of years ago, understanding the concept, more importantly than understanding the concept of how things work. And this is a conversation between Hermes Trismegistus and the creator of the universe. And the creator of the universe is telling Hermes these answers. Let's continue here.
The earthy body cannot support so great an immortality, nor can so great a dignity endure defiling contact with a body subject to passion. Mind, therefore, has taken the soul as a shroud, and the soul, which is itself something divine, uses the spirit as a sort of armoring servant. The spirit governs the living being.
Right before I go on, let me. Yes, Jenny said, let me put it up on the screen here. No wonder I say things and say, where did that come from? Laugh out loud. Yes, that's true. And I tell people, you're welcome, by the way. I tell people that very thing. Have you ever, I'll ask them, have you ever been talking to somebody and all of a sudden you hear yourself say words and you're thinking, where did that come from? What was that? That just came out, but it was really wise. And people say, how do you know that? And you say, I don't know how I know that. I just know it. It just came out. That's your higher self. That's your higher self talking through you for your betterment and for the other person's betterment. And then we call that channeling down here. So you're literally channeling yourself, and yourself, your higher self, is actually saying those words. Joanne, welcome. So yourself is actually saying those words. So when you do that, if you really pay attention to when that happened, you'll see that whole entire thought process was there before you spoke it, and it bypassed your thinking mind portion of you and went straight to the mouth and came out the mouth. And you went, wow, I don't remember doing that. I didn't have that. That's channeling. You're channeling your higher self, intervened at that point to say something without going through the pain body. And that also helps you to realize, how did that happen? You think, how could that have happened if I'm the thinking mind, if I'm the thinking pain body? That couldn't have happened, but it did. So where did that come from? That helps you to expand your consciousness into the realization that you are not the physicality, that you are still there. You are something else that is above this physical plane. You are an immortal soul. You are an immortal spirit. more so. The immortal idea of the immortal soul comes into play first, and then you realize I'm not just a soul that's immortal. I'm what's in charge of the soul. And here you saying blanketing or encompassing or jacketing that, so ruling that. So the immortal spirit rules the soul rules the body, right? And the soul rules the mind, which rules the body. Okay. All right, let's continue here.
Then, when the mind has got free of the earthy body, it immediately puts on its own tunic, a tunic of fire, in which it could not stay when in the earthy body. For earth cannot bear fire. The whole thing burns even from a little spark. This is why water has spread all around the earth, guarding like a fence or a wall against the burning of the fire. Mind, which is the most penetrating of all the divine thoughts, has for its body fire, the most penetrating of all the elements. And since mind is the craftsman of all beings, it uses fire as an instrument in its craftwork.
Now, remember, back then, fire meant illumination. Fire meant light, because we didn't have electricity then to make light bulbs. We only had fire, so it was candles and then oil, lamps. Okay, so the illumination is what we would call that today. So the illumination being what he's referring to as fire. So now you're becoming fire. Why? Because you're illuminating. You're becoming light. So there's the Christ within. There's the Christ oil becoming the light of the world. Jesus Christ becomes the light of the world. Thor uses Mjolnir. Thor means thunder. Mjolnir means lightning. He uses Mjolnir, his war hammer, and he's cracking the sky with lightning, illuminating the sky, chasing off Fenrir the wolf. Fenrir the wolf is the veiling, the darkness veiling the land, the darkness veiling your mind. And then Thor illuminates your mind by cracking the sky with lightning and illuminating with fire and lightning. You see, so this happens in all pantheons. If you read them, you'll see that there is this illumination. The further back you go, when there was no electricity to give us light bulbs, we had only fire. So light was referred to as fire, and fire was light. So the sun itself, they knew, was on fire. So they said the sun was the life bringer, the light bringer. And it wasn't until the modern age when we use the little filament, which is actually on fire, by the way. You just don't know that. That illumination that makes a light bulb is because the gas inside there is actually on fire. But it's self-sustained gas, and that heats up in there, and the heating of that glows, the metal glows, and the metal glows brighter because it illuminates and heats up the gas that's in there, and the gas turns into a light bulb, which illuminates things. It's still fire. We just have it contained, whereas a candle or a oil lamp is not contained, and the fire's there when you're burning a candle in your house. But when it's inside of a light bulb, and then I was buffing. So it doesn't, I apologize for that because my camera went off for a second while I was buffing, because it looks like my Wi-Fi is dipped down to one little stick. I apologize for that. It'll come back in a second. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. Okay. So Denise said, is that the reason why some saints have the flame over their head? Yes, because that means they were illuminated. So when you see the different people and they have fire over their heads, like that, it's the light, like we do now with a light bulb. We'll put the light bulb over our head and we'll go boom. Ooh, I have an idea. That means that I'm illuminated. So back then, the fire above their head meant they were very illuminated. They were very wise and illuminated to the ways of the world. So they had fire there. Yes, that's exactly that. You can see me, okay, because on my screen, the screen went black and there was buffing for a second there. But now I'm back to full strength on the Wi-Fi. So I don't know what was happening. It was dipping down. Okay, let's continue here, okay?
The mind of all is the craftsman of all beings. The human mind is the craftsman only of the things that exist on earth.
See, so here we're looking at the mind of the craftsman. The mind of all is the craftsman of all. The mind, the human mind is the craftsman only of the things existing on earth. So now you have as below, so above, or as above, so below. So the craftsman, the creator of the universe, is there, and we down here on Earth are only the craftsmen. We can only affect those things in the physical when we're in the physical body. But outside the physical body, then you can do more because you're more moving towards the creator, right? Denise, you're very welcome. Denise said, Leo, thank you for doing the Hermetica. You're very welcome. I'm going to move on and do, I'm going to try and continue moving forward I'm going to do the Emerald Tablets of Thoth next, then the Book of Truth, one of the Dead Sea Scrolls that talks about the origin of Jesus and the origin of the human species. And I'll move into other realms. Eventually, I'm going to do the Bohemian, Viking pantheon and show you all these things that I'm already hitting on here. And then eventually I'll do the 12 tribes of Israel and do the same thing and show you all of that and the storyline there. And at some point I'll do the Hindu Vedics and go down the whole pantheon if I do this long enough throughout all of time. And I'm also writing about it in my second book. Okay. So you're very welcome. All right, let's continue here. Okay. Actually, why don't we take time, since we are in this place right here, to pay the bills a little bit. Let's do a commercial for my book, The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways, and we'll be right back.
What is the reality about reality? Returning to the Old Ways. It is a comprehensive book about what is really going on here on this planet. It talks about the true spirituality that the controllers who think they own this planet have been keeping from you for thousands of years. It explains to you the knowledge that you gain from the universe itself when you live the way the prophets of the world throughout time told us how to live. Eat right, meditate, take care of yourself, treat others right. All the things they originally told us to do, but the controllers have removed from right in front of our eyes. The way to ascend to heaven. The reality about reality. Returning to the old ways. On sale worldwide, online now.
I am excited because being able to share this knowledge with everybody around the world, there's not very many theological societies or theologians who are looking at the message. Theology usually, in everybody's minds, they're believing that it is the comparative religion. And theology should be the comparative spirituality, because that's what the message is. The message is spirit, not religion. Religion is corporal. Religion is physicality. Spirituality, that's why I say in my book that religion recruits you, spirituality waits for you to find it, because spirituality is everlasting. Spirituality is illumination of the creator, and physicality is religion. Let's continue here.
Since it is stripped of fire, the mind in humans is powerless to craft divine things, because it is human in its habitation. The human soul, not every soul that is, but only the reverent, is in a sense demonic and divine. Such a soul becomes holy mind after getting free of the body and fighting the fight of reverence. Knowing the divine and doing wrong to no person is the fight of reverence.
See, so that's somebody who's in service to others, fighting to illuminate, to become unveiled. Reese, welcome, by the way. To become illuminated and become unveiled and moving upwards back towards the light.
The irreverent soul, however, stays in its own essence, punishing itself, seeking an earthy body to enter, a human body to be sure.
See, and then people who are in service to self are staying in the physicality, in the lower chakras, in this place, this matrix, and trying to control it for power, money, glory, fame, for themselves, not for anyone else.
For no other body contains a human soul. It is not allowed for a human soul to fall down into the body of an unreasoning animal. This is God's law, to protect the human soul against such an outrage. How then, Father, is a human soul punished? What greater punishment for a human soul, my son, than irreverence? What fire burns as much as irreverence? What beast maims the body so ravenously as irreverence maims the very soul? Do you not see what tortures the irreverent soul suffers, howling and shrieking, "I'm on fire, I'm burning, I don't know what to say or do"?
See, so this would be the burning in hell, correct? This would be being in the pit of hell. When you were down on this earth as either heaven or hell, depending on your focus and your disposition. This place is both and has the potentiation of and the potential of being either heaven or hell, being determined by you, the witnesser, you, the experiencer. So if you here are in service to others and choose to be around people who are in service to others, and you choose to then have a relationship with the Creator, find that relationship with the Creator, realize you're an immortal soul, realize you're an immortal spirit, moreover, that you're not just an immortal soul entombed in this body, but you are ensouled in this body as a spirit, and you start to ascend to that, then you are going to be moving back towards the Creator, and then you're going to gain that knowledge and that illumination. Those who are in service to self are away from that, right? Joanne says, I am in heaven. Correct, because I am heaven. And this is where, like, you see, if you look at different people, when they'll say the realization, the true illumination is to realize I am not in the universe, that the universe is in me. The true illumination is not to say I am in heaven, but heaven is within me, because everything is happening within you. And I don't mean your physical body, I mean it within your soul, because your soul is within the Creator. So you are the Creator because you are in the Creator. And this is how you see the Trinity coming into effect with Jesus being the Son of God in that religion. And you see that Moses was also realizing that, and you see Thor doing that. So you see Marduk doing that. You see everyone from every pantheon coming to the realization of going on that trek to sacrifice themselves for others. And if they are in service to others, they find themselves worthy. And what are they worthy of? Being born again. Illuminating themselves, learning the true knowledge, resurrecting themselves as a soul, as a spirit, more importantly, when you go to that point. And as that spirit, you realize I am a part of the Creator. I am not just a part of the creation. I am a part of the Creator. They say that God created man, human condition, in God's image. Does that mean physicality? Everyone thinks it means physicality, so they always draw God as a old white man with a white beard sitting in a toga on some mountaintop. That's the physicality. That's not the nature of the Creator. So when the Creator came to Moses, how did he come? Fire. Illumination, fire. And when he said, who is it, Lord, that sends me to go and talk to Ramses? Who shall I say sent me? And the Lord said, I am. Okay. So why was that in the Hebrew pantheon? Because the Lord does not have a name in the corporal, because the Lord, the Creator, does not reside in the corporal. It's non-corporal. So I am that I am was the answer. Tell them I am sent you, because I do not have a name here. And that's why they used to call, the Hebrews called the Creator the Nameless One, because he's above, they were above having to have a physical plane identity, because they were all that is physical, all that is non-physical, all that is and ever will be. And that's why you hear in the ancient pantheons referring to God that who was all that is, all that was, and all that ever will be. And that's why the God in that story said, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That's the 0 and the 9. The 0 being nothing, the 9 being everything. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the Alpha meaning nothing. I am the Omega meaning the end, the all. So I am nothing and I am the all. Because I am the Creator. I created out of nothing and I am everything. Do you see? So Denise said, and just don't turn to God when you're in trouble. Give him attitude always too, right? Give him gratitude. Exactly, right? And then Joanne said, in that case, I am heaven. There you go. Correct. Feeling good, happiness within, accepting, let me put it up on the screen for you guys, accepting everyone and everything to whom and what they were loving life. And yes, and that is what we are trying to seek. If you're in service to others, you are seeking true enlightenment, natural nature enlightenment of the universe itself, universal enlightenment. And that is when you ascend to the what? To the cosmos. Okay, and what is the cosmos? Cosmos is the illumination of the physicality. So cosmos is the fire. Cosmos is that which drives this universe to be the universe itself. That would be the body of Christ in the Christian pantheon. That would be the body of Marduk defeating the Tiamat. That would be the body of Thor defeating the Vendo in the physical, and then the dragon of the North Sea, and crossing Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, to defeat Fenrir the wolf, the veiling of the sky, illuminating the mind of the human condition to the creator of the universe and saving the world, and doing so, saving the body, the flesh, pain body from this place and illuminating past that. Marduk did the same by defeating Tiamat and all the minions that Tiamat created. That was the snake, the serpent, and the different animals and creatures, and then finally defeating that which was Tiamat, the dragon, again, the dragon of the world, the Orbus, the Orbus, where we get the word Aurora Borealis, the Orbus, which encircles the entire planet, which is the physicality in the pantheon of King Arthur. That was the dragon. The dragon was in everything. The dragon was everything physical. Again, the dragon being the physical. And you see that in all religions, where you have this dragon, the dragon of the North Sea, the Orbus, the dragon that you have to fight. What is that? That is the overcoming the darkness, Fenrir the wolf, overcoming the darkness by defeating your own self and being born again of light. Okay? So that is the wisdom that you gain when being in service to others. That is universal wisdom that everyone gains when they're in service to others, and the realization that I am not the pain body, that I am in fact the immortal soul that is attached to the universe, which was created by the creator of the universe, which is basically the universe is the body of the creator in the flesh, and the creator created it that way. Okay, let's continue here.
I'm eaten up, poor wretch, by the evils that possess me. I neither see nor hear.
Vitacost.com is celebrating 30 years as your trusted source for now.
Are these not the cries of a soul being punished? Do you too believe what they all think, my son, that the soul which has left the body becomes an animal? This is a great error. For the soul is punished in this way. The mind, once it has become a demon, is directed to acquire a fiery body in order to serve God. And having entered into the most irreverent soul, mind afflicts that soul with scourges of wrongdoing. Thus scourged, the irreverent soul takes to murders and outrages and slanders, and the diverse kinds of violence by which people do wrong.
Say that's becoming self-serving. So when you become in service to self, then these are the ways, the modus operandi of you in the physical. You slander, murder, violence, power, money, fame, control, right?
But when mind has entered a reverent soul, it leads it to the light of knowledge. Such a soul as this never has its fill of hymning and praising, always blessing all people and doing them good in every deed and word, in memory of its Father. Therefore, my child, one who gives thanks to God must pray to acquire a good mind. The soul can then pass over into something greater, but not into any lesser thing. There is a community of souls. The souls of the gods commune with souls of humans, those of humans with souls of unreasoning things. The greater take charge of the lesser, gods of humans, humans of living things without reason, and God takes charge of them all. For he is greater than all of them, and all are less than he. Thus the cosmos is subject to God, mankind to the cosmos, and unreasoning things to mankind.
Do you see? So there's your logos, sub-logos, sub-sub-logos, sub-sub-sub-logos. So we are third down on the list from the creator. And then there are those beneath us, people who are self-serving, animals, nature, those things that are below us because they are not self-aware. Okay. And even the people that are running around here who are self-serving, they're just barely self-aware, but they're only aware of themselves enough to believe that they are all there is and all that there needs to be, because they don't love anything besides themselves. Therefore, they can't love a God. They can't acknowledge a God, because that would acknowledge that something or someone is above them individually, and they can't do that. So they defy the idea of a creator. That's why on the secular internet, secular places where you do search engines, I talk about this all the time. When you look up the creation story for any religion or spiritual practice on this earth, the secular engines that are doing the searches will tell you the creation myth of the Hebrew religion, creation myth of the Viking religion, myth meaning fake, created by humans. And that's why they now start saying the Anunnaki created all religions and all spiritual practices, that none of them are real, because they don't want you believing that, because they can't have you believing that, because too many people are starting to realize that I am not the pain body, I am not the thinking mind, I am the everlasting immortal spirit.
God stands above all things and watches over them. And energies are like rays from God, natural forces like rays from the cosmos, arts and learning like rays from mankind. Energies work through the cosmos and upon mankind through the natural rays of the cosmos. But natural forces work through the elements, and humans work through the arts and through learning. And this is the government of the universe, dependent from the nature of the one and spreading through the one mind. Nothing is more godlike than mind, nothing more active nor more capable of uniting humans to the gods and gods to humans. Mind is the good demon. Blessed is the soul completely full of mind, wretched the soul completely empty of it. Again, my father, what do you mean? Do you suppose, my child, that every soul possesses the good mind? Our present discourse concerns this mind, not the servile mind of which we spoke earlier, the one sent below by justice. For without mind, soul can neither say nor accomplish anything. Mind often flies out of soul.
And so, yes, Joanne says everything serves a purpose. Cats are meant to absorb negativity. Yes, cats literally, I tell people this all the time, cats and dogs. Why are we always keeping cats and dogs? Why does the human condition always want to have those pets, cats and dogs? Why? Because cats protect our immortal soul or our spirit in that plane that is non-existent, that is non-corporeal. They see things we don't. They pick up on energies that we don't. And they, because, like Joanne says, they absorb the negativity, they can pull that negativity, the power from the negative, away from the negative, and then they transmute it and put it back into the universe as neutral energy. So they take the power away from negative energy. So negative energy doesn't want to be near them. It repels they're repelled by cats, because cats will take the power that they have, that they think they have, that they've absorbed to do evil, away from them, and then they have to absorb that energy again, so the evil will immediately take off and go the other direction. In the physical plane, dogs protect our physical body. They protect the soul and the mind in the physical, in this place. So if you keep cats and dogs in your house and you raise them so that they take care of each other, you will see that they will do just that. When cats like look around and you see them think you're looking, what are they seeing? I don't know. They're seeing something crazy and they're running amok. That's because they're seeing something that is non-physical, that is energy, and they're trying to determine whether that's a good energy or a bad energy. If it's a bad energy, they will chase it. And if they catch it, they'll pull all the negative out of it and force it to no longer be negative. And negative energy doesn't want that to happen. It likes the power that it has from the negative energy, and it can't stand being not negative, so it will be repelled and run away from cats. That's why you saw that play out in the movie The Mummy. Until the mummy was all whole again, the mummy could not stop the power of the cats. So when he was still trying to become whole and absorb more energy, he was coming into the room, and then what's his name, O'Connell, picked up the cat and said, "Look what I have." And the cat saw him for who he was, evil, and then went, and then he spun out of control and disintegrated into sand and had to get out of there before the cat absorbed his energy. But they didn't tell you that, but anybody who knows that when they saw the movie understood what was happening. Why is that? And when he asked that question, they simply, for time, just said that until he's able to defend against that, the cats will always repel them, because that's what cats do. Dogs protect our physical, right? Right, Cassie? Welcome, Cassie. Dogs protect our physical, and cats protect our spiritual souls. Absolutely. They protect the spirit body, and the dogs protect the physical body, right? Okay, let's continue here. Let me go back into full screen over here, and we will continue.
And in that hour, soul neither sees nor hears, but acts like an animal without reason. So great is the power of mind. But in a sluggish soul, mind cannot endure. It leaves such a soul behind as clinging to the body, held down and smothered by it. Such a soul, my child, does not possess mind. And so one must not say that such a thing is human. For the human is a godlike living thing, not comparable to the other living things of the earth, but to those in heaven above, who are called gods. Or better, if one dare tell the truth, the one who is really human is above these gods as well, or at least they are wholly equal in power to one another. For none of the heavenly gods will go down to earth, leaving behind the bounds of heaven. Yet the human rises up to heaven and takes its measure and knows what is in its heights and its depths.
Right. So the sacrifice that you make, this is the sacrifice now that's being talked about. The sacrifice that we make coming down here to be veiled and then reascending to heaven is actually a harder thing to do. That's why he's saying those gods, now we're talking demigods, not the creator of the universe, those gods in heaven won't come down to earth. They don't want to come down to earth because this is a sacrifice. You become veiled and you may never wake up. So those gods that are there in heaven come down to earth. There's Deborah. Welcome. There's my sister in real life, Deborah. Jeff was just in here a little bit ago, Debbie. So hi, Deborah, by the way. So those of us who come down to earth to volunteer to be in this condition, we are rock stars up there. We have a greater place than they, because we are experiencing something that they're afraid to experience again. They did it once and they don't want to do it again. Not everybody does this. Only 10% of the population of all souls will ever fathom the idea of returning to this place because of how scary it is in this place to do these things. But some of the 10% will do that and make that sacrifice to follow the same path of these ascended masters by descending into hell and then resurrecting or being born again and ascending back to heaven. And that's what some of us are doing to follow that path, doing the same thing, albeit not on that grandiose scale of, say, a savior like Muhammad or Jesus or Lao Tzu or Moses or Thor or one of those others, Marduk, one of those others from those other pantheons. We, in our own way, in the small, simple way that we can, which is grandiose enough for us to do and hard enough for us to do, although I'm here doing the same thing, I will not die for the sins of the collective consciousness of one single world, let alone many or multiple worlds. I am not great enough to do that, yet there is someone who came before. Do you see? So in some way that we can do as an individual, we do those things, or we do them multiple times to be able to do that. So all of you out there listening around the world, you're either doing it because you've decided to, or you're doing it because everyone has to go through that to have that organic experience to get back to the Creator, to be able to know what it is that the Creator went through to become the Creator, to do what is being done for us, not to us. Okay, so let me continue here.
And he understands all else exactly, and, greater than all of this, he comes to be on high without leaving earth behind. So enormous is his range. Therefore, we must dare to say that the human on earth is a mortal God, but that God in heaven is an immortal human. Through these two, then, cosmos and human, all things exist, but they all exist by action of the One. 11. Mind to Hermes.
And you'll find that that last part, they all exist by the action of the One. Okay, you'll find that that's a reoccurring theme in almost every book, especially the ones taken out of the Bible. Say in the Book of Truth, which I will cover at some point in the future, probably this year. We're in July now, maybe early next year by the time we get to that, because we're going to do the Emerald Tablets of Thoth first, and then we'll go into the Book of Truth. But you'll hear that error created the human condition. And error, so the creator didn't create the human condition. Error did, thinking that she could create as good as the creator. However, the fact that error created the human condition is because the creator created error with the ability to create the human condition and allowed error to then do that. So it wasn't an accident or something wrong or evil that the human condition became something, because the creator allowed it to happen, which means that the creator encouraged it, which also means the creator anticipated it and wanted it to happen. So you see here that everything only exists by the action of the One. And you're also seeing that that is being referred to, that the creator of the universe here thousands of years ago was being referred to as the One. Okay, so you see that is reoccurring as well. And in many pantheons, many religions, many spiritual practices, the creator, the one true creator. That's the Hebrew version, the Sanskrit version, the One. Okay, so you see that happening all over. Why does that mean? Because I am one. We are one. Because we are the creator. Heaven doesn't exist and I am not in heaven. Heaven is within me. So heaven exists because heaven is within me. Heaven is within you. Heaven is with all of us. This place exists because it's within us. We don't exist in it. It's not happening to us. It's happening for us. Let's continue.
Since people have said many contradictory things of all sorts about the universe and God, I have not learned the truth. Make the truth plain to me, Master. It is you alone on whom I may depend to reveal it. Mark my words, then, Hermes Trismegistus, and remember what I say. I will not hesitate to speak what occurs to me. Hear how it is with God and the universe, my child. God, eternity, cosmos, time, becoming. God makes eternity. Eternity makes the cosmos makes time. Time makes becoming.
Do you see? Do you see that? There's your logo, sub-logo, sub-sub-logos. The creator of the universe creates the cosmos. The cosmos creates time. Time creates the human condition. Time makes the beginning, right? The human makes time the beginning. Do you see that's not verbatim, right? I'd have to go back over here and read that verbatim, right? So literally, there's your Father, Son, Holy Ghost, or there's your Trinity, and there's your functionality of the creator, the cosmos, the universe, the solar system, the human condition.
The essence, so to speak, of God is the good, the beautiful, happiness, wisdom. The essence of eternity is identity, of the cosmos, order, of time, change, of becoming, life and death. But the energy of God is mind and soul. The energy of eternity is permanence and immortality. Of the cosmos, recurrence and counter-recurrence.
That would be death and resurrection, right? The cosmos, recurrence and counter-recurrence.
Of time, increase and decrease. Of becoming, quality and quantity. Eternity, therefore, is in God. The cosmos in eternity, time in the cosmos, and becoming in time. And while eternity has stood still in God's presence, the cosmos moves in eternity. Time passes in the cosmos, but becoming comes to be in time. The source of all things is God. Eternity is their essence. The cosmos is their matter. Eternity is the power of God, and the cosmos is eternity's work. But the cosmos has never come into being. It comes to be forever from eternity. Therefore, nothing in the cosmos will ever be corrupted, for eternity is incorruptible. Nor will it pass away, since eternity encloses the cosmos.
Okay, so eternity is incorruptible. Why is that important? Okay, because you'll see that in some of the Dead Sea Scrolls that were taken out of the Bible that say in there that God created the human condition with an incorruptible condition. Incorruptibility is eternity. So the human condition has the creation because we are co-creators. And how can we be co-creators? We have to be immortal. We have to be forever. So in some of these books that were taken out, it was told that the human condition is incorruptible. And incorruptibility back then meant immortal. And you're seeing that being said right there. Immortality is eternity. That means that it is forever. Okay? Remember me when you remember, right? Reese, remember me when you remember. Okay, let's continue.
But the wisdom of God, what is it? The good and the beautiful and happiness and all excellence and eternity. Eternity establishes an order, putting immortality and permanence into matter. The becoming of that matter depends from eternity, just as eternity depends from God. Becoming and time, whose natures are twofold, exist in heaven and on earth. In heaven they are changeless and incorruptible, but on earth they change and become corrupt.
Why is that? Because they are opposites. In heaven, they are non-corporeal, spiritual, incorruptible, immortal, forever. On earth, the opposite. They become corrupted because they are they are mortal, they are physical, and therefore if they are mortal and physical, that means they are not forever, and that they have a shelf life, and then they die and have to be resurrected or recreated. Do you see? Let's continue.
And God is the soul of eternity. Eternity is the soul of the cosmos. Heaven is the soul of earth. God is in mind, but mind is in soul, and soul is in matter. Yet all these exist through eternity. Inwardly, a soul full of mind and God fills this universal body in which all bodies exist. But outwardly, soul surrounds the universe and brings it to life. Outwardly, the universe is this great and perfect living thing, the cosmos. Inwardly, it is all living things. Above in heaven, soul persists in its identity, but on earth below, it changes what it comes to be.
Do you see? So in the physical plane, we exist physically in the physicality. We are immortal, not down here. Down here we are mortal. Our soul is mortal. Our spirit is immortal. So the physicality and that which makes this body move is the soul because of the energy from the spirit ensouling the body. This is not forever. I, however, am. Your physical body is not forever. You, however, are. We are forever. How can we be forever if I am the physical and I am the physical body? I cannot be the physical body if I am forever. And if I am forever, I cannot be the physical body. So if I am the physical body and I think I am the physical body, then I have to know that I am not forever. Unless I try to pretend and tell myself that I am in fact the creator of the universe, I am God and this whole place was only created for me. Some people in the physical believe that. And yet here we still are. There are people that have believed that throughout time, and they are now gone, yet we still exist. So the place itself, the physicality of the cosmos, of the universe, is immortal because it was created to be immortal. But what happens in it is that it has a cyclical nature of death and rebirth. So the non-physical that makes up the physical plane, the soul of the cosmos, is in fact immortal. But the cosmos itself is not. It's ever evolving. It's dying and being resurrected every nanosecond. Do you see? Let's continue over here. Let me pull this back up in full screen and we'll continue.
Hi, I'm Kate Courtley, and I'm here to welcome you to the Buy One, Get One Soul Generator event.
Skip that.
Eternity holds all this together, either through necessity or providence or nature or whatever else anyone believes or will believe.
See, so the creator of the universe holds all of that together, holds the cosmos together and everything with the will of the creator, because the creator is everything. So that's being held into place. And then we are holding the physical in place. And science, let me pull myself back up in full screen real quick and then we'll go. Again, science is realizing that this place winks out of existence once every nanosecond and is winking back into existence the same way a light bulb turns on and off. They're actually able to detect the fact that we all, everything that is the universe, winks out of existence for like 1/4,000,000th of a nanosecond and then turns back on. And they're able to detect that now. The same way if you film a light bulb in slow motion, you can see that when you are watching the slow motion, you can see the light goes on and off, on and off, on and off. If you're recording online, if you go live and you record your television and you're live and you're sitting there, you look at your television, not when you look at the TV, but when you look at the TV, when it's on a live feed, you'll see that the television also flitters and flutters. It's winking out and coming back on. It's also coming on and off, on and off, on and off. And you'll see that happens in a cyclical rate that's just really fast that we don't notice it. We don't notice that the light goes on and off, on and off, on and off. We don't notice that the television goes on and off, on and off, on and off. We don't notice that the universe itself is going on and off, on and off, on and off. But science is now able to track that, and it's freaking them out because they don't understand how it could exist, then not exist, then exist. So it's doing that all the time. So it's going from nothingness to somethingness to nothingness to somethingness. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am everything and I am nothing. It is happening all at once. The creator is nothing and everything. I am the beginning and the end. Okay? So think about that. Ponder that for a minute, that we're literally fluttering, turning on and off. Because what is holding it all together? The creator of the universe. Whether you believe in the creator of the universe or not, you can't explain, and neither can science, how it is that the universe is winking out of existence and then coming right back and being recreated identically the way it was 100 billionth of a nanosecond, whatever that number is. That's an insane short number. And that we're doing that, and that we're making that happen, and we have a part in that.
This universe is God producing his energy. But God's energy is an insuperable power, not comparable to anything human or divine. Therefore, Hermes, you should not suppose that anything below or anything above is like God, since you would stray from the truth. Nothing is like the unlike, the one and the only. Nor should you suppose that God gives up his power to anyone else. Besides him, is there any maker of life and immortality and change? What else might he do but make? God is not idle, else everything would be idle, for each and everything is full of God. Nowhere in the cosmos, nor in any other thing is there idleness. Said of the one who makes, or of one who comes into being, idleness is an empty word. Everything must come to be, always and according to the inclination of each place. The one who makes exists in all things, not firmly fixed or making in any particular thing, but making all things. Because he is an energetic power, his autonomy does not come from things that come to be. Those that come to be exist by his agency. Through me, look out on the cosmos set before your gaze and observe its beauty carefully, a body undefiled, than which nothing is more ancient, always in its prime and young, and yet even more in its prime. And see the 7 worlds spread out below.
7 worlds, again, there's that number 7, 7 chakras, 7 archetypes, 7 worlds, according to even the Hebrew. Before they added 3 more, there were 7 sins, 7 plagues of Egypt. You have the 7 worlds of the Viking pantheon before they added more onto the Asian to make it 10. There was also only 7. And then people are starting to move into the realization of 10 and then 12, because they're supposed to realize that there are not just 7 chakras, that there are in fact 3 below and 3 above. So that becomes quickly moving into the range of 12. Do you see?
Marshall.
And past that, we're supposed to do that in our ascension. We're supposed to realize that we are not just this 3rd dimensional thing. We're supposed to do that. And it wasn't long ago that we didn't know that there were 7 chakras. It wasn't until 1948 when they discovered the harmonic resonance of chakra 1, 3, and 7, or 3, 6, and 9, which is where their actual designation is. So we didn't even know the harmonic resonance of the 3, 6, and 9 until 1948 on this earth. That doesn't mean that it wasn't known on this earth. This cycle that we're in didn't relearn it until 1948. But people at this time, when Hermes is talking, knew about it. People in the time of ancient Egypt, we're talking about the pre-dynastic, not post-dynastic times. They knew about it. We're talking Marduk time, they knew about it. So did the Arcadians. The Greeks knew about it. So did the Vikings. They knew about it. Okay? They just didn't all write it down. And when they did, it was taken away from them at some point, starting with the burning of the Library of Alexandria all the way back then, and then continuing in through the Renaissance, through the Council of Nicaea 1 and 2 and the other councils that were there, and then the Renaissance where they were burning all the books, trying to eradicate all of this knowledge that we still have, only because it was stolen by people like monks, like the Irish monks and the Scottish monks went out and found it and brought it back and hid it away so it couldn't be burned and recopied it. It's the only reason that we have history now. You can look that up. I'm not making that up. The only reason that we have history now, every single book that we have was kept by them, except for the things we have found since then, like the Dead Sea Scrolls and other scrolls that we have found that were hidden away. But prior to us finding those, all of history that we have currently was saved by people in service to others who were trying to hide it, including the Dead Sea Scrolls, which they did at an older date, stole it away and hid it in a cave because they wanted it to be found in the future by people, and they were trying to take it and eventually get it back to the people. But the church at the time hunted down all the Essenes and killed them all to try and find that knowledge so they could eradicate it. They never found it, and then they figured that nobody would ever find it. And in 1948, there's that date again. You should look into why so many things happened in 1948 around the earth. One day, maybe I'll write a book about it. In 1948, some kids were minding dad's sheep, and dad was off doing something. They were bored, so they started throwing rocks. They were throwing rocks into caves, and all of a sudden they heard pottery break, went in there and found the scrolls. Didn't know what they were, took them to dad. Dad burned some of them for firewood till he realized that they were actually scrolls. Then he went and sold them to the museum for money in the museum, then eventually sold them to private collectors, and we only have them because some of the stuff the museums got back and kept, so we know what they are. So there's probably a bunch. We have no idea how many were found that were out there. We have a theory of how many were found and were out there, but there's a lot of them that are missing still that private owners own, and they don't want to give them up because the private owners that own them are the ones who are descendants of the people who are trying to stop that knowledge from being on the earth anyways, which runs us into a perfect time for me to go ahead and do a commercial for my book again. Got to pay the bills, right?
What is the reality about reality? Returning to the old ways. It is a comprehensive book about what is really going on here on this planet. It talks about the true spirituality that the controllers who think they own this planet have been keeping from you for thousands of years. It explains to you the knowledge that you gain from the universe itself, when you live the way the prophets of the world throughout time told us how to live. Eat right, meditate, take care of yourself, treat others right. All the things they originally told us to do, but the controllers have removed from right in front of our eyes. The way to ascend to heaven. The reality about reality. Returning to the old ways. On sale worldwide online now.
Okay, let's continue here.
In eternal order, each completing eternity in a different circuit. See how everything is full of light, yet nowhere is there fire. The attracting and combining among things contrary and unlike became light shining down from the energy of the God who is Father of all good, ruler and commander of the whole order of the 7 worlds. Coursing ahead of them all is the moon.
Okay, so again, the 7 worlds, right? The 7 worlds, the 7 chakras, the 7 archetypes that rule, the 7 gods that rule the archetypes. You'll hear more about that when we do the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. That's why we just did this one first. And we'll move into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, talking about the 7 gods that rule the archetypes that rule us. We were talking about that earlier, right? So the 7 worlds, and coursing ahead of all of them is the moon.
Nature's instrument, transforming the matter below. And in the midst of the universe is the earth, the nurse who feeds terrestrial creatures, settled in the beautiful cosmos like sediment. Look at the multitude, how great it is, of immortal living beings and of the mortal, and in between the two, the immortal and the mortal, the circling moon.
You can sell this $5 spatula on Amazon and compete with hundreds of other spatula sellers, or
all things are full of soul, and all are moved, some around heaven, others about the earth. Those on the right do not go left, those on the left do not go right. Those above do not go below, nor do those below go above. That all of them have come to be, dearest Hermes, you no longer need to learn from me. For they are bodies, and they have a soul, and they are moved. But body and soul cannot join in a single being without someone to bring them together. Such a one must exist then, and must be one in all respects. Since motions are many and diverse, and bodies are dissimilar, while one speed has been ordained for all of them, there cannot be 2 makers or more than 2. If there are many, one order cannot be kept. The consequence of plurality is envy of the better. I will explain. If there were a second maker of living things mortal and subject to change, he would long to make immortal beings as well, as the maker of immortals would wish to make mortals. Look, if there are 2, and if matter is one and soul is one, which of them will supply the making? Or if both supply it, which has the greater part? Think of it this way. Every living body, both immortal and mortal, reasoning and unreasoning, is composed of matter and soul. For all living bodies are ensouled. The non-living, on the other hand, consist of matter by itself. Soul, likewise coming by itself from the Maker, is the cause of life, but the one who makes the immortals causes all life. How then is he not also the maker of the immortal living things that differ from the immortals? How can an immortal being who makes immortality not make what is possessed by living things? Clearly, there is someone who makes these things, and quite evidently he is one, for soul is one.
See, now we're getting back to that, right? Who makes these things? He who makes these things must make these things, and quite inevitably he is one, for soul is one life. Let's continue.
Life is one, and matter is one. But who is this someone? Who else but the one God? To whom, if not to God alone, might it belong to make ensouled living beings? God is one then. How entirely absurd! Since you have agreed that the cosmos is always one, that the sun is one, the moon one, and divinity one, do you propose to number God himself among them? God makes everything. In a God who is many, you have the ultimate absurdity. And why is it a great accomplishment for God to make life and soul and immortality and change when you yourself make so many such things? You see and you speak and you hear. You smell and touch and walk about and think and breathe. It is not as if one sees, another hears, another speaks, and someone else touches, someone else smells, walks about, thinks and breathes. One person does all these things. In another sense, things on high cannot happen without God. Just as you are no longer a living being if you are idle at your affairs, so if God is idle, he is no longer God, though it is not right to say so. If it has been proven that you cannot be without making something, how much truer is this of God? For if there is something that God does not make, he is imperfect, though it is not right to say so. But if God is perfect and not idle, then he makes everything.
So, this goes back to what I was talking about when I said, talking about the creation, say in the Book of Truth, where error created the human condition. But error created the human condition because the Creator created error and allowed error to have that ability to create the human condition. And then the human condition we create, just like God was saying to Hermes just now. We create because we do things. What do? We knock down trees and we turn them into wood and we build a house. Or we take metal and we forge it and we turn it into girders and make tall buildings. We turn it into shapes and we make cars. We take plastic and we turn it into things. We are creating. We are co-creators because we are able to create. We can create in the physical, but we can also create in the non-physical. We create in our mind concepts, and then we use our hands in the physical to create them down here by drawing up plans to make things in the physical. And then we can make those things in the physical. So where does that come from? If you track that back, that physical thing came from your mind, which drew the concept of how to do that, because your mind came up with the concept of how to do that. Where did that come from? Do you see? When you track that back far enough, that comes from what? That comes from a higher being that is controlling your mind, that it was coming up with that idea to create that thing in the physical. But that comes from the non-physical. And that comes from the Creator. The non-physical and the physical come from the Creator, and everything in it is from the Creator and created by the Creator and encouraged to then have all these experiences and come up with new ones by creating things, by doing things in the place of doing. Okay? And so, yes, Denise said, she said, I guess we create in our dreams as well. Yes, we do. There is no difference between the dream world and this world. There is no difference. And I talk about that all the time. Daydream, night dream, dream walking, astral projecting, and this place. The only difference in all of those realities is your perception of what's happening in them. In this place, we are in time, so your manifestation in this place takes time, takes distance for it to happen. When you are in the dream state, you're outside of time, so you can manifest in your dream instantaneously. I went from here to there, or I have a burger in my hand, or whatever, or a bad guy's there and I'm running from it, and then I project in my mind to control the situation, call in my angels and guides or somebody to help you. That's dream walking. Now you're becoming conscious in the dream state and affecting it. Same thing happens in this place when you become conscious of this place, that it is a matrix and that you can take control of it. You can manifest things, but you have to have the patience here because you're in time for that manifestation to happen. You have to stay focused longer, and you have to continue doing things like the Creator of the universe to make it happen. But it happens instantaneously when you're in a dream or in an astral projection, because you can go from California to New York in a blink of an eye, because you're outside of time. So time is only the distance that it takes the physical body to move from one place to another. So your dreams you create there as well as you create here, because there is no difference between that dream state. This is a dream state. This is just not as non-real as you perceive those dreams. A daydream, a night dream, or spirit walking, that's interacting with your dream in a conscious way, or astral projecting. All of those places are identical. Your perception of them makes you think they are different, and they're not. And once you realize that, this place becomes, you look at this place in a different way. That's the tool that they were using to teach Neo when he said, you think that's air you're breathing? You're in the matrix. This is not real. This is not the reality of the real world. This is what you're perceiving the real world to be. Same thing is happening here. The universe was created by the creator, and we're in it. This isn't a physical place. We just think it is. That's why I always say, this isn't happening. It just thinks it's happening. And I got that from the movie Tron, that when Flynn got pulled into the Matrix, through the laser, pulled him into the Matrix, and he was battling the MPC program. The first thing he said when he became conscious inside the computer is, oh man, this isn't happening. It only thinks it's happening. Because he was seeing it from the perspective of Flynn, who was immortal, because the computer programs, the programs called the people who made them the users. They were the people who created the programs. They knew they were conscious. They knew that they were not immortal. They knew they were created by users. And they realized that Flynn was a user. And he somehow came down to the physical plane. So the story of the movie Tron, if you go back and watch it, was the descension from heaven, from the immortal plane into the Matrix, sacrificing himself for the people. And eventually he had to do that in the movie. Almost died from it. And then he was able to gain more strength and power. And then he was able to defeat the great evil, the dragon of the North Sea, as it were, the devil, and illuminate the world by chasing Fenrir the wolf away. Same story, same descension, same into hell, same sacrifice, same resurrection, same born again, same illuminating the mind of the computer, illuminating the world, same exact Christ story. Okay, and that was in a movie that came out in 1982 called Tron. Some of you know Tron Legacy or Tron 2049. They got away from that part, but then still spun it with the computer program, but they got away from the Ascension storyline. But if you watch the first movie, that's what that's about. Okay, let me continue. Let's go back in full screen over here, and we will continue. So God creates, God makes everything on all levels, and we are a part of God. And our incorruptibility, our immortal souls, our immortal spirit, because we're forever, this isn't happening to us, it's happening for us because we are part of the creation. No, we are part of the creator, not part of the creation.
Give me just a moment, Hermes, and you shall quickly understand that God's work is one thing only, to bring all into being. Those that are coming to be, those that have once come to be, those that shall come to be. This is life, my dearest friend. This is the beautiful. This is the good. This is God. If you want to understand it from experience, notice what happens to you when you wish to beget. It is not like the work of God. God takes no pleasure in his work, nor does he have assistance in it. Working alone, he is in his work eternally, since he is what he makes. If they were parted from it, all things would collapse. Of necessity, all would die, since there would be no life. But if all are alive and life is also one, then God too is one. Again, if all things are alive, those in heaven and also those on earth, and if life is one for all of them, it comes to be by God's agency, and it is God. All things come to be by the agency of God then, and life is the union of mind and soul. Eternity, therefore, is an image of God. The cosmos is an image of eternity, and the sun is an image of the cosmos. The human is an image of the sun.
Do you see? So there's your logos, sub-logos, sub-logos, right? So that would be the creator of the universe. So then you have the universe. That's the cosmos. Then you have the solar system. There's the sun, right? So then you have the human condition. So we are the son of Saul, because Saul created the earth in this solar system. And the solar system that is the Sol system that we are in was created by the galaxy. And the galaxy was created by the universe, and the universe was created by the creator.
Death is not the destruction of things that have been combined, but the dissolution of their union.
Do you want to know where to invest $1,000 right now?
Well,
forget about AI, quantum computing,
They say that change is death because the body is dissolved and life passes on to the unseen. Hear me devoutly, my dearest Hermes, when I say that the cosmos and the things said to be dissolved in this manner are changed because each day a part of the cosmos becomes unseen. But they are by no means dissolved. These are the passions of the cosmos, swirlings and concealments. The swirling is a return, and the concealment a renewal. The cosmos is omniform. It does not have forms inserted in it, but changes them within itself. Since the cosmos came to be as omniform, who can have made it? Let us not call him formless. But if he too is omniform, he will be like the cosmos. What if he has one form? In this respect, he will be less than the cosmos. What do we say he is then, so as not to bring our discourse to an impasse? For there can be no impasse in our understanding of God. Therefore, if he has any structure in him, it is one structure, incorporeal, that does not yield to appearances. And he reveals all structures through bodies. Do not be surprised at the notion of an incorporeal structure, for it is like the structure of a word. Mountain ridges seem to stand out high in pictures, but in reality they are absolutely smooth and even. Be mindful of what I am saying, something rather daring, but also quite true.
See, so again, perspective. Do you see? This is the perspective-minded ideology and parables that you're seeing here. Okay, so when you look at a mountain range on, say, on the picture, or you look at a mountain range that is taken from, like, say, your cell phone in a picture, there you're going to see that they look what? Jagged. But when you go there from as far, they look jagged. When you go there, they are smooth. Same thing when you look at in the reverse sometimes, but when you look at the ebb and flow of a river, sometimes it looks jagged as it's going through the landscape. The closer you get to it, the more you realize that it's smoothly going through and the universe, or through the landscape. So perspective, again, depending on where your perspective is coming from or what you're perceiving, again, that goes back to our reality is created by our perception. Okay, our perception, we don't see reality for what it truly is. We see reality for how we see it. Here's an example. The full moon, you guys just saw that the full moon is in the last 2 days. So when the full moon comes up at night, low in the horizon, the moon appears to be huge and really close to the earth. And that's an optical illusion. That is your perception, because our perception, our depth perception, is based on our position to something. We're trying to figure out how far we are away from something. So the size of something appears to us to get larger when it gets closer to us, and it gets smaller as it gets further away. Why is that? The same thing if you look at a train, or if you look at a whale, when it's farther away, it looks smaller. And why is that? Because when it's further away, you're seeing it compared to the background and the backdrop of things that there's nothing much there. So you're able to see it at a longer distance, so it appears smaller. When you see something surrounded by a lot of detail here on the landscape, that thing appears to be larger because your brain is trying to put it in the perspective of where it fits to that landscape. So when you look at a moon rising and it just comes above the mountaintops or the horizon, it looks huge, like it goes from horizon to horizon. And I remember when I was a kid, one of the scientists said, one of the teachers that was teaching the science class said, when the moon comes up, as it's rising above the plains, take a piece of paper and hold it out at arm's length so that you can see the glowing of the moon on the paper. And as soon as the moon gets up high enough to where you can draw a circle around the moon, in the entire circle around the moon, grab a pen, have somebody else hold the paper or have someone else do it, draw a line around that circle that is the moon, then put down the paper and wait until the moon is high in the sky and you look up at it and your brain says the moon is tiny now. If you then take that same piece of paper and hold it in your arms at arm's length and hold it out at arm's length and put it right up over that moon to where the moon fits on that circle, you'll find that the moon fits exactly in that circle. Same exact size. But you perceived it completely different when you had landscape to from the earth to compare it to. So your brain fools you optically into believing that the moon is closer to the earth and it's huge until it gets up in the sky and then it's further away when it's in fact the same size. And only science realized that in a long time. So people thought that the moon was coming up from behind the earth and it was huge, and then it was going up high in the sky to move away, and then it would come closer to the earth as it was going down the other side. And that's where you get the flat earth theory, that the moon is really close to the earth and goes way up in the sky and comes down close to the earth. And it's just not true. It's an optical illusion because your brain is trying to calculate distance in the physical and size and distance in the physical. And it has a hard time when there's nothing to justify it to. So when it's up in the air and you don't have the landscape, mountain ranges and plants and trees and people and buildings, then it can't tell the distance properly. Or it then tells the distance more accurately than it does when you're looking from a landscape perspective. Okay, let's continue here.
Just as a human cannot live apart from life, neither can God exist without making the good. For in God this making is life and movement, as it were, moving all things and making them live. Some things that I say need special attention. Consider what I am saying now. All things are in God, but not as lying in a place, for place is also body, and body is immobile, and what is lying somewhere has no movement. In incorporeal imagination, things are located differently. Consider what encompasses all things, that nothing bounds the incorporeal, that nothing is quicker nor more powerful. Of all things, the incorporeal is the unbounded, the quickest and most powerful.
They don't believe how toxic this is.
If
you're still using a plastic or wooden cutting board, you need to hear this.
No, you don't.
Consider this for yourself. Command your soul to travel to India, and it will be there faster than your command. Command it to cross over to the ocean, and again it will quickly be there, not as having passed from place to place, but simply as being there. Command it even to fly up to heaven, and it will not lack wings. Nothing will hinder it, not the fire of the sun, nor the ether, nor the swirl, nor the bodies of the other stars. Cutting through them all, it will fly to the utmost body. But if you wish to break through the universe itself and look upon the things outside, if indeed there is anything outside the cosmos, it is within your power. See what power you have, what quickness. If you can do these things, can God not do them? So you must think of God in this way, as having everything, the cosmos, himself, the universe, like thoughts within himself. Thus, unless you make yourself equal to God, you cannot understand God. Like is understood by like. Make yourself grow to immeasurable immensity, outleap all body, outstrip all time, become eternity, and you will understand God.
See, so that is our charge. We are to do those things. We are to understand or understand, to become what it is that is the creator. That is how we ascend back to the creator. We become the creator. We realize that we are the creator. We realize that we become the universe because we are the universe. The universe is within me. The universe is within you because we are all one. So the universe is one. It is within us because we are all one. So the higher up we go away from this separation that is down here in this place, we become more and more one, less and less individual and more creator. And then eventually we become the creator. So to understand a thing, you have to become that thing. That's Occam's razor. That's when you're trying to chase, with profiling, you're trying to chase a bad guy that's a serial killer. You have to think like that serial killer. To create that scenario in your head, to think like that is to be able to catch that person. On the other end of that spectrum, to understand the creator of the universe, you have to understand what motivates the creator of the universe. What motivates the creator of the universe? This place. Why? Because the creator of the universe cannot be perfect. Because if the creator of the universe was perfect, none of this would need to be. All of this is being done because the creator of the universe is seeking more knowledge and more experience. So the creator created this place, created all of us as fractures of itself, and then are giving us the power to organically create new things without knowing that we are the creator, so that we can come up with new scenarios to experience new things to then grow. As we grow, the creator grows. The creator is living vicariously through us because the creator is us, because we are all one with the creator, because this is all happening in the mind of the creator, because we are the creator, pretending that we are not the creator, so that we can figure out things and learn things. So the creator of the universe, therefore, must know that it is not infallible and all-knowing, that it needs to, wants to, and is seeking knowledge, experience, and change. Okay? Otherwise, none of this would be necessary because the creator would already know everything and it wouldn't matter. Is the creator bored and creating these scenarios just to have something to do? That's just as likely and just as possible that the creator already knows all this and knows every single outcome and is just playing and imagining this because it's spending time with itself so that it has something to do because it got bored with everything else that was being done. We don't know the answer to those questions down here. We can't possibly know the answer to those questions until we get closer to the source and then get into the mind of the source by becoming the source. That is what Hermes is finding out right here. Let's continue.
Having conceived that nothing is impossible to you, consider yourself immortal and able to understand everything, all art, all learning, the temper of every living thing. Go higher than every height and lower than every depth. Collect in yourself all the sensations of what has been made, of fire and water, dry and wet. Be everywhere at once, on land, in the sea, in heaven. Be not yet born, be in the womb, be young, old, dead, beyond death. And when you have understood all these at once, times, places, things, qualities, quantities, then you can understand God. But if you shut your soul up in the body and abase it and say, I understand nothing, I can do nothing, I fear the sea, I cannot go up to heaven, I do not know what I was, I do not know what I will be, then what have you to do with God? While you are evil and a lover of the body, you can understand none of the things that are beautiful and good. To be ignorant of the divine is the ultimate vice, but to be able to know, to will, and to hope is the straight and easy way leading to the good. As you journey, the good will meet you everywhere and will be seen everywhere, where and when you least expect it, as you lie awake, as you fall asleep, sailing or walking by night or by day, as you speak or keep silent, for there is nothing that it is not. And do you say, God is unseen? Hold your tongue. Who is more visible than God? This is why he made all things, so that through them all you might look on him. This is the goodness of God. This is his excellence. that he is visible through all things. For nothing is unseen, not even among the incorporeals. Mind is seen in the act of understanding, God in the act of making. Up to this point, O Trismegistus, these matters have been revealed to you. Consider all the rest in the same way, on your own, and you will not be deceived.
And a commercial.
Tell me if you're feeling this way. The internet that we've all so come to depend on has become one of the most dangerous.
12. Discourse of Hermes Trismegistus on the mind shared in common to Tat. Mind, O Tat, comes from the very essence of God, if in fact God has any essence, and God alone knows exactly what that essence might be. Mind, then, has not been cut off from God's essentiality. It has expanded, as it were, like the light of the sun. In humans, this mind is God. Among humans, therefore, some are gods, and their humanity is near to divinity. For the good demon has said that gods are immortal humans, and humans are mortal gods. In animals without reason, however, there is natural impulse. Where soul is, there also is mind, just as there is soul wherever life is. But the soul in unreasoning animals is life devoid of mind.
Okay, now remember, I didn't stop it until here because I was trying to get to the end of a sentence there. Remember that tat, T-A-T, is in reference to the Sanskrit word that means that which is associated with all of reality, the divine principle, the divine being in Hinduism. So here when he's referring to O Tat, he's referring to that which is the divine wisdom of the Creator. Let's continue.
Mind is a benefactor of human souls. It works on them for good. In things without reason, mind assists the natural impulse arising from each, but it opposes this impulse in human souls. Every soul, as soon as it has come to be in the body, is depraved by pain and pleasure. For in a composite body, pain and pleasure seethe like juices. Once immersed in them, the soul drowns. Mind displays its own splendor to those souls that it commands, and it opposes their predilections. As a good physician, using the cautery and the knife, causes pain to the body overtaken by disease, in the same way, mind causes pain to the soul, withdrawing it from the pleasure that gives rise to every disease of the soul. A great disease of the soul is godlessness, and next is mere opinion. From them follow all evils and nothing good. Therefore, the mind that opposes this disease secures good for the soul, just as the physician secures health for the body. But those human souls that do not have mind as a guide are affected in the same way as souls of animals without reason. When mind connives with them and gives way to longings, the rush of appetite drives such souls to the longings that lead to unreason, and like animals without reason, they never cease their irrational anger and irrational longing, and they have never had enough of evil. For angers and longings are irrational vices that exceed all limits. God has imposed the law upon these souls as a torment and a reproof. In that case, Father, the discourse about fate that I heard finished earlier would seem to be contradicted. If it is absolutely fated for some individual to commit adultery or sacrilege or to do some other evil, how is such a person still to be punished when he has acted under compulsion of fate? Everything is an act of fate, my child, and outside of it nothing exists among bodily entities. Neither good nor evil comes to be by chance. Even one who has done something fine is fated to be affected by it. And this is why he does it, in order to be affected by what affects him, because he has done it. Now is not the time for a discourse about vice or fate. We have spoken on these topics elsewhere. Now our discourse is about mind, what mind can do, and how it admits of differences. In humans, mind is one thing, but it is another in unreasoning animals. Moreover, in other living things, mind is not beneficent. As it quells anger and longing, it acts differently in each individual, and one must understand that some of these are men who possess reason, and that others are without it. But all people are subject to fate and also to birth and change, which are the beginning and the end of fate. And what is fated affects all people. Yet those who possess reason, whom, as we have said, mind commands, are not affected as the others are. Since they have been freed from vice, they are not affected as a consequence of being evil.
Right? So when you change and you become in service to others and you learn wisdom, the wisdom that you learn is universal, and therefore you have the ability to no longer be affected by those things. They are not affected as a consequence of being. So you become less ruled by this place and more ruled by the self. Because you're in service to others, you gain the knowledge and wisdom that unveils you and gives you the knowledge of the universe, and you start seeing that things from a different perspective, from higher up, because you're moving up into that place. You see the ecosystem that is here. You see the yin and the yang. You see the perfect ecosystem, and that this is a dance and that it will never change. I just had this conversation yesterday, and it was either yesterday or this morning. And the conversation was, if somebody is doing things to change the energy of other people by being in service to others, yet this is the same concept of what you're hearing here. Yet there is a balance in the universe, and it has to stay this way. Talking about the third dimension in this place. Then how does my energy affect anything at all when I am trying to affect things in the positive? For me to change somebody from being negative to positive will bring rise to someone negative to have to counterbalance me to balance things out. That is the concept that was happening in the Star Wars, in The Rise of Skywalker, where they were saying that, and even before that, in The Force Awakens, when they were saying that because Kylo Ren had become the dark side, and that even Snoke said to him that there would be someone who would rise on the side of the Force, the good side, to oppose him because of the balance in the universe. So the question then becomes, why do I do what I do when it doesn't have any effect on anything whatsoever? And my answer is Occam's razor. If all things were equal in this place and balance were restored, then it's a matter of individuality and duality, and you're correct that everything would be perfectly harmoniously balanced, and then the individual would be the only one who would be able to control their energy only, and this place would operate perfectly, and the individual would then have the ability to make their own decision and become in service to others or in service to self, therefore keeping the restoring and keeping the natural balance of things. And that is the way the ecosystem normally works. However, in this place, everything is not equal, so Occam's razor does not apply to this place. Evil people have taken away the knowledge of that good and evil, taken away the knowledge of the ascension from people, and are keeping them and holding them in the place of veiling to then augment and offset all of their potential good that they will do and become, and therefore changing this place to become more evil, because they're controlling the minds of the people through proxy, controlling their will and creating themselves to be of ultimate power and not allowing anyone to graduate. In doing so, they have upset and disrupted the natural balance, the natural order of a place like this one. And because of that, when we are here, when we make the sacrifice to come down here to help the people that are here, those of us who are doing that, we then are making a change because we are restoring the natural balance, the natural order in the universe, the way the Creator created it. Why is that able to happen? Again, what is the creation of the human race not done by the Creator, but done by error? It was, but error was encouraged to have those experiences and do those things. So this place and the scenario of people being stuck is accepted and allowed to happen. Why? Because then people from a higher plane then can go on the journey of sacrificing and falling back down to being in the proverbial hell or the physical hell and being veiled, and then turning around and trying to wake up and remember what they're here to do to restore the natural order and balance. And in doing so, helping the people to restore the balance. And in doing that, showing the people of this place as they're moving through their ascension, that some people sacrifice themselves to come back and help other people. So it's helping the people who are doing the sacrificing and the people that they are sacrificing for. And those people will learn from that, see that people then do that. And some of those people, 10% of those people, will consider when they get to a higher plane going down to help people. Just like we can choose to abuse dogs and cats and use them as a tool, or we can talk to them as if they're humans and treat them that way and give them a personality and help them to ascend to become more self-aware. The same thing with our children. We can either abuse them and use them and keep them in this plane, or we can educate them and teach them about spirituality, depending on our personality. So this is exactly what's going on and what you're learning here. So all of this is a matter of perception. So the conversation that I was having was, we do this because in this place it needs to be done, and we came here to do that. I was having that conversation with Brooke, my wife, and I don't remember if it was last night or this morning before I was on air. So the choice that we make for those who are wanderers who come back down to help these people, do that throughout the universe because someone helped them and someone helped them and you helped someone. And so you pay it forward and pay it backwards. And that goes up all the way back to the Creator. The Creator even created this place and allowed this to happen so that these scenarios could happen. So the Creator basically created the avenue and the potentiation for these things to happen. There's that cyclical nature of nature, from the bottom all the way up, or from the top all the way down, as above, so below, as within, so without, as below, so above, however you want to say those, use that vernacular. All right, let's continue. You hear about that being said in many of the religious, philosophical, and spiritual scrolls around the earth, most of them.
Again, Father, what do you mean? The adulterer is not evil? The murderer not evil? And all the rest of them? One who has reason will not be affected because he has committed adultery, my child, but as if he had done so. Nor will he be affected because he has murdered, but as if he had murdered. It is not possible to escape the quality of change any more than of birth, though it is possible for one who has mind to escape vice.
They've taken this video down 3 times because it teaches you how to hit lottery tickets every week. Watch now while it's still up.
Thus, I have always heard the good demon say, it would have been most useful to humankind if he had given it out in writing. He alone, my child, because he looked down on everything as the firstborn God, has truly given voice to divine discourses. Once, at any rate, I heard him say that all things are one.
Okay, someone stop right there real quick. Right, so Cassie, right? Yeah, Cassie said we've also had this conversation. Absolutely, and I have also had that conversation from that perspective with other people as I was ascending and saying the same thing. Why then should I do something? Why not hermit? That's the hermit phase of the ascension. When you do that, like what's his name? That comedian, I can't think of his name. He was in Dumb and Dumber right now. For some reason, I see his face and I can't think of his name. So you literally have him being in the hermit phase, where you get to that point where you start pondering that, and if someone is not there to help you to ascend past that, it'll take you a while to ponder it for yourself. And you say, if everything is the way it is, and this is an ecosystem, then me doing something isn't making a change. So why then should I make that change? And if no one's there to tell you that, Occam's razor, that normally if all things were equal, you would be accurate, and it would be up to yourself to then better yourself, because you can only then activate or ascend your own self. You cannot make anyone else do anything that is not on their path. Jim Carrey, thank you, Cassie. And he is in that phase where he's moved into his realization, where he was saying, the universe is within me. I am not within the universe. It is within me. Jim Carrey is not real. Jim Carrey is a character that I was playing in this physical place. He's absolutely accurate. He's absolutely right. However, he's moved into the hermit phase of that existence, saying there is nothing that I need do, because I'm not making any change, because it's only my journey that I should be affected by, and everyone else has their own journey. So me telling people anything isn't of any consequence, because it's gonna fall on deaf ears unless they're ready to hear it, and then they're moving in that respect anyways. All things being equal on any other place, the natural balance being a 0 point and on point, you're absolutely right. And it wouldn't matter. And then you ponder that yourself, and then you realize those things, and you do hermit, and then you can ascend when this life ends that you're in. However, that's not the scenario that's happening in this place. This place has been kept stuck, and the people here are having a hard time realizing and learning that they can graduate. So because of that, they are in need of people to come back and help teach them and tell them that. And even then, if it were all things equal, it is still vital for those who have the knowledge to take the responsibility to then assist people and help them, even if you know it's not going to make a difference, because the difference that it's going to make is that people are going to see that some people return to help, and when they go to a higher plane, they will pay it forward by doing the same thing and sacrifice themselves to come down to that. It still is helping the all and the one, even if the all things are equal. That part has to be instilled in people so that they know that giving is important. That's why I just posted a ream not too long ago, a few days ago, or last week maybe, where it was showing that the Native Americans were saying that it was essential. Some of you watched my reels, saying that it was, I don't remember the quote from the Native American who said it. It might have been Sitting Bull, but I don't think it was. I think it was the other Native American, and he said that it was essential to teach the children to give gifts to other people, and so they would have them give the thing that they cherish the most, so that they would learn that charity. And why is that? For the same reason that I was telling you just now, to pay it forward. If you are willing to sacrifice that which is yours, or that which is dear to you in this respect as a spirit, your freedom by coming down to this place and being veiled and not remembering who you were or where you came from, and then find your way back to that realization and unveiling yourself, so that you then go, oh, I'm here to do something to help these people. By doing that, you go through that journey on yourself, on your own, all over again. But for what purpose? This time it's not for you to get out of here. This time it's for you to show people that people do that and make that sacrifice. That is what these ascended masters did. They chose to come down and sacrifice. Let's use Jesus as a vernacular again, Muhammad as another one, or a parable where Muhammad came down to do the same. Only Muhammad's job was not to sacrifice the body to become the martyr. Jesus chose to do that. Then you have Marduk, who also did the same, but didn't choose to die in the physical. But you had Thor, who did die in the spiritual and became physical and lost immortality, and then had to die and be resurrected. The same death and resurrection in that pantheon to do the same. Paying it forward, showing that, so that other people would then follow in suit. The way to heaven is through me. Follow in suit and do that and make those sacrifices, so that when they get to a higher level, these new souls who are just becoming self-aware get to the level that you were at. 10% of them will ponder the idea of that sacrifice to help others, because they are in service to others. So even in a culture that is equal and all things are equal and it's happening the way it's supposed to and it's perfect, you still need those people to come down to show that and be that example for those people who are truly on that path, who would not maybe do those things. And that is as a knight being knighted by the Roman Catholic Church or any other fiefdom around the world, as knights, specifically the Christian knights, were trained for that in that specific rule, that speak the truth even if it leads to your death. So you're to be upright and to be honest and speak the truth even if it leads to your death, and protect the helpless. So it's the same thing. Pass it forward, pay it forward by, if you have to, sacrifice yourself so that people see that, and by your example that will change people. And then right after that, when he says that, the bishop says, does making a man a knight make him a better fighter? And he looks at the men and then he looks back at the bishop and he says, yes, because the sacrifice of service and the realization that the knight's ultimate job is to sacrifice the self for the many. And then you have Star Trek with the proverb of Spock saying the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. That is the same parable being told to you. And that is what the dichotomy of what's here. So that conversation happens in every single person at some point in their development of, why should I do this when it doesn't really make any difference? Because it's not just for them, it's also for you. It's not just for them, it's also for you. So you're doing this for yourself as much as you're doing this for them. And they're learning from you to also follow in suit when maybe they wouldn't if no one showed them that sacrifice. Hence the Jesus character coming down and sacrificing, and now almost half of the 8 billion people on this planet follow that person's lead in doing what they were doing. Why? Because that person came down, showed the sacrifice, and said, you too can do this, but it doesn't mean that death is forever. Death is not the beginning. Death is not the end. Death is only the beginning, and there is something more after that. And people are now following in that. Do you understand? Okay, let's continue. So that's what we're talking about here, is that hero's call, that death and resurrection, that rebirth, that born again rebirth of illumination once more playing out. And then you having to decide when to do that, and does it matter? It always matters, because everything matters. Let's continue.
Especially the intellectual bodies, that we live in power and in energy and in eternity. Also that the mind of eternity is good, and that its soul is good as well. This being so, there is nothing dimensional among intellectual beings, and thus, since mind rules all and is the soul of God, mind can do as it wishes. You must understand, then, and apply this discourse to the question that you asked me before, the one about fate and mind, I mean. For if you carefully avoid contentious discourse, my child, you will find that mind, the soul of God, truly prevails over all.
Right? No, hold on. Let me stop there and address what Cassie was saying, right? She said, it is my purpose to always help others, even before myself, but I'm learning gradually to also help myself. That is the one thing that we, people who are in service to others, truly forget. We come down here, we're veiled, and we're trying to help other people, and sometimes to our own detriment. At some point, we also have to remember that we also have to take care of ourselves. So when I had that conversation with the rabbi, and rabbi was taking the stance of, or the devil's advocate, playing the God's advocate, speaking as God to me, and I was asking questions in this theological discussion as a minister talking to a minister from a different faith, and asking those questions. What is it that we are doing here? And what is it that we're doing wrong? And the rabbi says to me, what you're doing wrong is that you're forgetting to take care of yourself. I have given you a house, and you are to make it a home so that I may move into that house with you. But what you're doing is you're stuck. So you're getting obsessed with the self, or obsessed with the self. I have to help myself to help others, or you're helping others so much that you're forgetting to also take care of yourself. What you're supposed to be doing there is helping others while also remembering to take care of yourself and help yourself, help each other, and help yourself, because if in this place, no one's going to help you. So if you're helping others and you're also helping yourself, others will then help you and themselves. So you'll help each other and then you will all be able to get out of here because you have to work together. But you have to remember that it's not self-serving to help yourself when you're helping others. It's only self-serving if you stop helping others and only help yourself. That was one of the greatest conversations that I had. And I believe that thoroughly. And that was a great answer to that question. What is the function of this place? When asked, Eckhart Tolle said, this place is a place where God is becoming aware of itself in this place. Do you see? So the only way that that can happen is that we also have to learn, like Cassie was saying, also have to help myself. Can't just give up yourself and be that sacrifice. It's not our jobs. Remember what I was saying, albeit a great way to follow these ascended masters, it's not our job to become the martyr. That has already been done before us. Our job now is to go to that as close as we can, but not become that, because it's already been done for us. So we're supposed to then realize to also take care of ourselves, right? Right? So Cassie said, I'm learning to help myself and accepting the love from my soul family. Yes, that's hard for all of us. It is. It's hard for all of us to reach out and ask for help. It's hard for all of us to then accept the help. It's hard for all of us to reach out and ask for love. And it's also hard for us to accept the love. Why is that? Because we are ultimately in service to others. And therefore, we have to learn that thing. So those are lessons that we still have to learn down here. We have to learn the same lessons that the Ascended Masters had to learn. Not only are we supposed to help others, but we're supposed to remember ourselves and take care of ourselves, right? And this is where different religions, where you hear them saying that the body is a vessel. You have to take care of yourself. You are what you eat. You are what you think. You are what you do. Therefore, if you want to be healthy, you have to have the proper sleep. You have to have the proper nourishment. You have to have all of the proper vitamins. You have to take care of yourself, balance your chakras. So you have to, and while doing that, help others. Unless you're in service to self, then you're only going to do those things for yourself anyways. And in which case, you just heard in the chapter prior to this, you become more evil because you're going down that dark path. And so you become more locked into this matrix. And then you hear Yoda saying, if you start down the dark path forever, will it dominate your destiny? As you go that direction, you become more self-serving, and then you become more evil, and it'll pull you away from the light unless you make that conscious choice to ignore those temptations of evil and move into the light. And if you do that, then you will move away from the light, move back towards the light, and then you will gain more knowledge that will help you. Right? Okay, let's continue here.
For fate and law and all else. And nothing is impossible for mind, neither setting a human soul above fate, nor if it happens that...
Right? Brooke, my brother just said that the other day when I was talking to him. In a life-saving situation, you must put on the oxygen mask first. Then you can help others. That's very service to others oriented, but the realization that you have to take care of yourself as well. You can't be any good to anyone else if you're not being good to yourself as well. So you have to remember, like, that's a great situation. In a life-saving situation, say you're on board a plane and the plane's going down, you're not going to be any good helping anybody if you can't breathe. So if you don't put on the oxygen mask for yourself first, you can't help them. So you have to do that with everything. That's a great concept, and they teach that in the theological colleges, right? So that's a great, right? I love you too, baby. Right? She said, I love my Kelto. I appreciate all of your help and support. You are my world. You're my world too. I love you, baby. So yes, that's the truism of that. We have to have that realization. So the hermiting is when you start to realize, again, where like Jim Carrey, where, well, it doesn't matter what I do, so why should I do it? And then you hermit. Then you get past that. But before you hermit, usually you're sacrificing yourself too much and to your own detriment. And that's when you change and become a hermit, because you're like, I have to take care of myself. And then you go into the hermit phase. You have to learn to be able to do both at the same time, to come out of the hermit phase and realize that we have a responsibility, if for no other reason than to show the young ones that some people will be willing to sacrifice themselves to come back and help, whether you need it or not. And that sacrifice is actually for the person who is sacrificing as much as for the person that is sacrificing, as much as it is for those people that person is sacrificing for. Do you understand that? All right, let's continue here.
the soul is careless, setting it beneath fate. These were the finest things that the good demons said about such matters. Divinely said, my father, and truly and usefully. But make it even plainer to me. You have said that mind acts in the manner of a natural impulse in animals without reason, conniving with their instincts. But the instincts of unreasoning animals are passions, I believe. If mind assists the instincts, and instincts are passions, is mind also a passion, since it is in defiling contact with passions? Well said, child. An excellent question, and one I ought to answer. All embodied incorporeals are affected by passions, my child, and passions they are rightly called. Every mover is incorporeal, but not everything moved is body. Incorporeals are also moved by mind.
Right. Let me put that up on the screen as well, right? So Brooke says, let me address that. Brooke says, let me put myself up in full screen here, right? Brooke says, and it's on the screen, so I can read that to you. Those of you who are on the MP3 broadcast. Also, I am much better at helping others than I am at helping myself. I need to be better at helping myself. All of us that are in service to others have that same dichotomy, because we become so entrenched in helping others because we're in service to others that we then start to forget those things, and we don't want to accept help because we think we're okay, when we don't realize that we're not actually okay, that we're actually to our own detriment not helping ourselves. And it takes there's the spiritual dark night of the soul, which is not to be confused with the physical dark night of the soul, when you start to realize there's got to be something better than this and you start moving upwards. The same thing happens in the spiritual when you start realizing, oh yeah, I'm in service to others and I'm going to run out there and I'm going to do all these things to help people. And then you forget to take care of yourself, and then something starts happening to you and you become less healthy, or you start having issues, or you start having pain, or you start having depression, or you start having things. The saddest people on the face of the earth are clowns. People who spend the time to make everybody else laugh and feel good are most of the time very sad. Why? Because the reason they became a clown is because they were sad and they were trying to hide that from people. So instead of healing themselves, they're sacrificing themselves. And it is only through therapy or people talking to one another that clowns realize, I have to fix that. You can still be a clown and be in service to others, but you should also fix yourself. So we sometimes forget that, and we plug through things, and we don't realize that we need help, or we won't ask for help because it's part of the ascension until you do, or somebody says to you, wait, listen, let me help you. And you're like, I'm fine. What are you talking about? No, you're not fine. You think you're fine. You don't know you're not fine. That happens to every one of us, and sometimes multiple times in our lives, because we get so caught up in assisting other people. That is part of the sacrifice that happens to us. And the only way that we can do that sacrifice properly and do it greater is to realize that about ourselves. And sometimes it takes a lot for us to, maybe physically, to happen to us, for us to then get that. And then that creates the hermit phase again. And we have to realize that and then go, I can do both. I can do both. I can balance. And then you become a better, stronger, more a greater influence on people when you do both, because you're taking care of yourself at the exact same time as you're taking care of other people. And because you're taking care of yourself, your energy is better, you're eating better, you're sleeping better, you're exercising. So your energy is more intense. And because of that, you're able to help more and more people. So you find that at that time, you find that balance in yourself, that wait, if I take care of me, I can take care of more people. But all of us have to go through it. So don't think there's anybody who's never gone through it. Maybe the ascended masters like Jesus, maybe Muhammad, you know what I mean? Maybe those people. But if you look, they didn't. If you truly look, they did as well. They realized that. If you look at, let's say Moses. Moses almost died a few times, right? Look at Jesus, where when he was healing people, he overextended himself and he almost died from healing people too much, and they had to go get him. And he came into the camp and then collapsed, and they had to carry him in. He was carrying on too much. And they were like, Master, you need to slow down a little bit. You don't have to go that far. And Jesus had to come to that realization himself. So even Jesus, as an ascended master, did that. Muhammad did as well. You can see these in these people where they had that same realization of, oh, wow, I need to take care of myself as well. I'm doing damage to myself when I'm not supposed to. So it's natural and it's okay to do that. But you have to come to the conclusion at some point that I have to treat myself, my body, like a temple. And I have to then also take care of myself and then ask for help sometimes, because sometimes we have to do that because we don't realize that we're not helping ourselves and we have to accept help from others, right? So, right, okay, so Peter says when people when people's spirituality, it takes a lot of your energy, and people would want to be careful, should be careful, right? Who they're helping spiritually. They could end up doing a lot of bad, negative things to your own spirit if you don't do it, if you do it wrong, and that happened to me, right? So you have to realize as well that who it is that you're helping, are they actually energy vampires and they're taking it from you? But then if you overtax yourself and you help people too far, is that depleting your own personal energy? So you have to remember to draw energy from the universe, not using your own personal energy. And that way you don't get into trouble, but you also have to remember to rest. You also have to remember to take care of yourself. Otherwise it becomes a problem and we can harm ourselves, and we don't want to do that, right? Right, but you have to learn to heal yourself, right? Have to learn to heal thyself. So once you learn that balance, it becomes so much easier, because then you feed off of that energy. You start to heal yourself as well as healing others. And then you gain more energy from them, but you also give them more energy. And so it becomes this cyclical compounding of energies where you have more, they get more, they give back more. That's that learn, teach, learn, right? So you have to realize that when you do that, and that pays for itself. And then you get out of the hermit phase once again and realize that it's as much for you as it is for them. Do you see? Let's continue. Let me put this back in full screen.
Movement is passion, however, and so both are affected, the mover and the moved, one ruling, the other ruled. If there is release from the body, there is also release from passion. Yet one might better say that nothing is free from passion, my child, and that everything is affected by it. But there is a difference between passion and what is affected by passion. One is active and the other passive. Even bodies act of themselves, however. They are either unmoved or moved, and here is passion in either case. The incorporeals are always acted upon, which is why they are affected by passion. Do not let this terminology disturb you. Action and passion are identical, but it does no harm to use the more auspicious name.
Right. So action and passion are the opposites, only in the respect that action is physical, passion is the non-corporeal action that is action. And that's what the creator is trying to get across to Hermes at this point, right? So what you're seeing is that when people say passion in the physical sense, it takes on a different toll than it does in a non-physical and a spiritual sense. So action is physical, and it is the act of doing. Passion is corporeal, and it is the act of doing. In the corporeal, in the light energy. Do you see? But passion in the physical becomes action. Passion in the non-physical becomes emotion, becomes love, becomes caring. Do you see? Let's continue.
You have delivered the discourse very plainly, Father. Notice this also, my child, that to mankind, but not to any other mortal animal, God has granted these two things, mind and reasoned speech, which are worth as much as immortality. Mankind also has the speech that he utters. If one uses these gifts as he should, nothing will distinguish him from the immortals. Instead, when he has left the body, both these gifts will guide him to the troop of the gods and the blessed. The other living things, my Father, do they not use speech? No, child, they use only voice. and speech differs greatly from voice. Speech is common to all people, but each kind of living thing has its own voice. Even among humans, my father, does speech not differ for each nation? It is different, my child, but humanity is one. Therefore, speech is also one, and when translated, it is found to be the same in Egypt and Persia as in Greece.
So this is why I say that spirituality is one, and that the semantical is not the same as the speech. That's the words. So the semantical is in the physical and is the words, not the word of God, because the word of God was the speech. But it was used in a different context, and that's why people got confused. So the speaking, the tongue, speaking in tongues, the speaking is differentiated by the culture. But the message is the speech. The message is the word, the speech, not the speaking. Okay? So there's lost in translation when you have different languages, but the message is the same. So the religions are in the physical, and you have the semantical: do not say God's name in vain, do not paint a picture of God, do not cut your hair the size of your heads, do not get a tattoo, do not walk close to me. If you're my wife, you have to be 10 paces behind me, or 6, or whatever it is, right? And then, if you do those and you commit those sins, then I have to kill you. Those are physical. Those are the things of the flesh. But the message are the things of the spirit. So that's the speaking as opposed to the words, or the speaking as opposed to the tongue, right? So that's the message as opposed to that. So there's the differentiation in that. Let's continue.
My child, you seem to me to be ignorant of the excellence and importance of speech. The blessed God, the good demon, has said that soul is in body, that mind is in soul, that reasoned speech is in mind, and that God is their Father. Reasoned speech, then, is the image and mind of God, as the body is the image of the idea, and the idea is the image of the soul. Thus, the finest of matter is air. The finest air is soul. The finest soul is mind, and the finest mind is God. And God surrounds everything and permeates everything, while mind surrounds soul, soul surrounds air, and air surrounds matter. Necessity, providence, and nature are instruments of the cosmos and of the order of matter. Each of the intellectual beings is an essence, and their essence is identity, but each of the bodies in the universe is multiple. Since composite bodies have their identity in always causing one body to change to another, they preserve the incorruptibility of identity. Otherwise, for all composite bodies, there is a number belonging to each. For without number, neither association, nor composition, nor dissolution can occur. The Henads give birth to number, increase it, and take it back to themselves after it has been dissolved, and yet the matter is one. This entire cosmos, a great God and an image of a greater united with God and helping preserve the Father's will and order, is a plenitude of life. And throughout the whole recurrence of eternity that comes from the Father, there is nothing in the cosmos that does not live, neither in the whole of it nor in its parts. For there never was any dead thing in the cosmos, nor is there, nor will there be. The Father wished it to be alive as long as it holds together, and so it was necessary for the cosmos to be God. How then, my child, can there be dead things in God, in the image of all, in the plenitude of life? For deadness is corruption, and corruption is destruction. How can any part of the incorruptible be corrupted, or anything of God be destroyed? The things that live in the cosmos, Father, though they are parts of it,
Right? Cassie said, kind of like people who talk the word but don't follow the word themselves. Right? Do as I say, not as I do. Right? That's a person who tells you one thing, but they're not doing that one thing because they don't believe in that one thing. But they're telling you, don't do those things, but you're doing those things. Never mind that. I'm an adult. I'll do whatever I want. Do you see? So it's exactly like that. All right, let's continue.
Do they not die? Hold your tongue, child. The terminology of becoming leads you astray. They do not die, my child. As composite bodies, they are only dissolved. Dissolution is not death, but the dissolution of an alloy. They are dissolved, not to be destroyed, but to become new. And what is the energy of life? Is it not motion? In the cosmos, then, what is motionless? Nothing, my child. Does the earth not seem motionless to you, Father? No, child. It is the only thing that is full of motion and also stationary. Would it not be quite absurd if the nurse of all were motionless, she who begets everything and gives birth to it? For without motion, the begetter cannot beget anything. It is most absurd of you to ask if the fourth part is idle. That a body is motionless can signify nothing but being idle. Therefore, my child, you should know that everywhere in the cosmos, everything is moved, either by decrease or by increase. What is moved also lives, but not everything that lives needs stay the same. Taken as a whole, my child, the entire cosmos is free from change, but its parts are all subject to change.
Right, so you have to realize that everything is alive. Everything is life. Life is everything. So a tree, alive. Rock, alive. Air, alive. Because everything is life. There you see it being said. People look at things and say, oh, it's an inanimate object. It's not anything. Doesn't matter. It's just an animal. Doesn't matter. Right? But they're wrong. Those people that think that, whether they know it or not, are being self-serving. Until you're supposed to learn the difference, not to destroy nature, we don't have to destroy nature, but not to bend it to our will. We can work within nature. We can become one with nature, and we can exist and subsist with nature and have a far better life on this planet than destroying nature to get what we want and take what we want from it. Far better. We're destroying things that would help us renew energies. Why don't we renew the energies? Because energy can only have a cost if it is finite. Therefore, it has to be finite so that you will pay for it, and then you'll pay a lot for it. That is self-serving. That is this place. That is the matrix. That is people in the matrix controlling the matrix and telling you have to have money because I told you so. And you have to pay for it because it's valuable. And it's only valuable when you control the value of something. And how do they control the value of something? Supply and demand. Lower the demand, create more supply, people pay more money for it. Create more supply, not everybody wants it because everybody has it, the demand goes down. So they keep balance in there. When the demand goes down, they lower the supply so that the demand goes back up and they make more money. They do that with the stock market, they do that with everything. They control everything to keep it at a high pace, and everything always goes up, nothing ever comes down. If it comes down, it's only for a minute and then it goes back up. The only way that changes is like with the stock market, either by them doing it on purpose or the people doing it, and they can't predict 100% of that, so they try to control it. So they try to scare people and tell you to buy when you're not supposed to and sell when you're not supposed to. That way they may still make money off of you. So they use their chaos to toss that in there. So we have to realize those things. We have to realize that sacrifice, that energy that we have and that we expend, that energy is part of the creation, and it's supposed to be that way. And restore the balance to that. So the same thing happens when you're looking at, you have to realize that there's the physicality, there's the physical and the non-physical. The physical is the third dimension in our case here. And the non-physical is the third density. That's the place where the soul resides. It's a completely different place from this one. It is separate from this, outside of time. That is where you actually truly reside. But you only know that when you have the realization of self. So you become self-aware, then you start to realize that there might be something else there. They can't have you do that, because once you start on that path, if you're not self-serving, you'll continue on that path and you'll become immune to their Jedi mind tricks. You won't believe them anymore, and you'll see their lies for what they are, and then you'll ascend on your own. They're trying to control the product, and the product is you. The product is me. They're trying to keep us at a level that is not in service to others and more in service to self. No different than a product like gasoline and regulating the price by lowering the amount of oil that they pull out of the ground, so that they make it scarce, so they can charge more money for the oil and make more money. And then when people stop buying it because it costs too much, then they increase the amount of oil they pulled out, lower the price of oil, and then people will buy it. Same thing happens with our energy. To keep us in the veil, they have to lower our energy to keep us from going too high. If we go too high, then we'll stop listening to them. They're the product that we have to listen to. They're the drug that we have to listen to. So they what do? They decrease the demand to increase, or they decrease the product to increase the demand. And when they do that, what is that? That's the reward, the money reward. So now they're rewarding you more for thinking the way they do. And what does that do? That lowers the demand, but increases the money they make. It's the same scenario that they're doing to you on the stock market in everything, right? So this is a perfect time, once again, for me to advertise my book, because that's what my book is about.
What is the reality about reality? Returning to the old ways. It is a comprehensive book about what is really going on here on this planet. It talks about the true spirituality that the controllers who think they own this planet have been keeping from you for thousands of years. It explains to you the knowledge that you gain from the universe itself when you live the way the prophets of the world throughout time told us how to live. Eat right, meditate, take care of yourself, treat others right. All the things they originally told us to do, but the controllers have removed from right in front of our eyes. The way to ascend to heaven. The reality about reality. Returning to the old ways. On sale worldwide, online now.
Right, and then Cassie said, referring to what we were talking about there, our life is by motion. Words are just words if not followed through with action and example. Right, talk is cheap. Right, who said that? Someone else just said that. Denise said that. Talk is cheap. Absolutely. True story. Right, actions speak louder than words. We know these concepts. These concepts are around. They're out there all the time. So why do actions speak louder than words? Because actions are doing. So you have a lot of words. It's called lip service. You'll say that you're going to do something, but when you actually do it, that means you're doing it. The same thing when there's a different consequence. The same thing in a spiritual sense. The action in the spiritual sense is passion. Action in the physical sense is the art of doing. So when you are in the spiritual realm and you're in service to others, passion is the action. The problem is we get so passionate we forget to do for ourselves. So we have to do that. Let's continue.
Nothing, however, is corruptible or destroyed, terms that disturb human beings. Life is not birth, but awareness, and change is forgetting, not death. Since this is so, all are immortal. Matter, life, spirit, soul, mind, of which every living thing is constituted.
I think I'm going to stop right there because it is 6 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and stop there, and we'll back up a couple of minutes next week and get right back into that concept. So let me write down here where exactly we are here. I'll put us at the 2 hour 15 minute. That'll back us up 3 minutes. Okay. So we'll start there next week. So let me go and fix this real quick here. 2 hours, 15 minutes, 0 seconds is where we'll pick up. Okay. So we'll call it there for this week, and we'll move on. Let me pull this myself over here. There we go. Okay. So that's where we'll end up this week, and then we'll go, and I'll back up a few minutes so that we can get into that conceptual line of parable that they're going down there, getting into that line of questioning and answering, but still on the same paradigm of in service to self and in service to others, and how the differentiation between action and passion is just parables now that's moving into that, right? So people who sound like they know spirituality, right? Cassie says people who sound like they know spiritual, what does that be? Is that they know spiritual things, I think is what you were trying to say, but do not actually do them themselves. Yeah, that's that do as I say, not as I do, or they know how to talk about spirituality, but they're not practicing it themselves, right? So they're doing that and they're cheating. They're telling you like as if they know what's going on, but they're not actually doing it. Why are they not doing it if it's beneficial? Why aren't they doing the same thing? Agreed, Cassie, right? So there are people out there that you'll notice are doing that. They're talking spirituality, parroting words and phrases and things and clauses, words, phrases, and clauses. Whoops, what is that? Conjunction, junction. What's your function? Whoop, that's a completely different cartoon from children cartoon. Love that though. So people that are doing that, again, are not helping. That's just like psychics who are just making things up and they're pretending to be psychic and they're telling people things. They know they're not psychic, but they're doing it anyway and people are believing them, right? Some people do that so that they can take advantage of people and make money. Other people think they're helping when they're not actually doing that stuff, right? And then Brooke said, false promises, right? False promises come with this too. Know this all too well, right? So it's the same thing when you have false promises from people and then they don't follow through with those. I promise I'm going to do that. I promise I'm going to be better at trying. People that are self-serving will throw those things at you like they're cards playing a game. Throw them at you like it's money. I promise. I love you. I promise I'll do this better. I promise I'll do this. And then they don't. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And then they do it again and again and again and again and again. And at some point you have to realize that when they were telling you that, it was lip service. So the same thing happens in every walk of life, because people who are evil want to have power over people and they'll use anything they can. So they learn what other people are doing and saying, and they can't create themselves. So then they regurgitate that stuff. And even that serves a purpose. You have to realize that's the ecosystem. And when people would say to me, shouldn't we be pointing out that person is lying or that person is not authentic? And no, not really, except for sometimes when you confront someone, then you'll say that, like I did with that guy who came on my show and he was talking, and I was like, okay, look, I know that you're saying these things, but I can tell by the way you're talking, you're not actually in service to others, you're in service to self, and you're hiding from people. And who knows what that guy said about me after he left, but he never came back. He never came back to the show. Why? I don't know. Maybe he decided that he didn't like me because he said I was crazy. Who knows? Who knows what he was saying about me to other people? I don't care, because I'm not, my job isn't to be worried about what that person has to say, because opposition is going to be opposition, because that's what they're inclined to do. People who seek power, people who are evil seek power 100% of the time. People who are in service to self always seek power 100% of the time. People who are in service to others sometimes must seek power because they have to try and help people. But for the most part, they don't seek power. They don't seek confrontation because it's not in their nature to do so. The nature of the beast is being in that service to self. That's the nature of the beast. That's where people will always attack because they have to, because they're self-serving. Okay, I love you guys. We'll pick this up next week right there at that part, and then we'll go farther from that and go on, okay? So this has been Orion Rising. I am your host, Leonard O'Neill. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morrow, depending on where in the world you are tuning into the show. I'll see you guys next week, or I'll see you guys in the chat. I love you guys. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. And like I said,